Chapter 101. We're all alone in this desolate dungeon. It's just the three of us. The axe-wielding lightning user yells out while arcs of electricity begin flowing off of his body. You two are really asking for it. I keep my bright red blade pointed at his head, staring the man straight in the eyes. The hooded figure has him cornered from behind with his daggers at the ready. I release an attack. With a swift and powerful swing of my blade, I release a wind-powered slash of dark fire magic straight at him. With a rigid movement of his axe and an explosion of lightning, this monster of a man turns the trajectory of my attack to narrowly twist his body out of the way. In doing so, it leaves him open from behind. The hooded man darts in with overwhelming speed. I hear the faint sound of blades slicing flesh, then see the axe-wielder fall to his knees coughing up blood while the rogue pulls a dagger from his side. The mystery man grins at me and darts backward, putting away his daggers while reaching into his item box as the lightning mage yells out again, releasing arcs of dark yellow energy. I produce another fiery slash of magic, sending it hurtling at him. He grits his teeth and raises his axe to block my attack. The wave of fire makes contact with his weapon, making a loud clang almost like metal on metal. He barely fends off the crescent of dark magic as he's pushed 3M backward, attempting to stand to his feet. Arg! This is it, you runt. I watch him explode with anger as he manages to deflect my attack off track, once again narrowly avoiding death. His bloodshot eyes meet mine as he sends a bolt of electricity at me. There's no blocking these attacks. I must endure it. My vision is filled with yellow light and I'm hit with an immense wave of lightning once again. It burns my skin and leaves my insides sizzling, but I keep running forward. Clang. With a yell, I jump towards him to clash sword against axe. My dark red aura filled with flames collides with his yellow static energy. We're at a standstill. Both of us push forward with all our might. I release wave after wave of intimidation while erupting into flames. He holds his ground while shocking me to my core. We both let out yells as neither of us wants to lose this brawl. Again, I hear faint footsteps in the distance. Then a whistling sound. My eyes are locked on my opponent, so I can't keep an eye on the rogue. Seems like he's made his move. The lighting user lets out a final shock wave as I release another enormous display of flames. I fall to my knees. After taking 3 full-on attacks, my HP is nearly 0. I look up at my opponent while reaching for an HP potion. He's burnt to a crisp as well. The slash from earlier did a lot of damage, the dagger to the side was a good hit too, and my excess fire residue from our clash couldn't have made it any easier on him. One more solid attack from either of us, and the other would be finished. I cough up another mouthful of blood and bring the HP potion to my lips as he lifts his axe high in the air. The axe wielder lets out a yell while releasing a final lightning axe combo. Then, moments before his blade comes down on me, I watch a glowing white arrow pierce through the side of his head. The lightning mage's eyes widen as a white light flashes, and he disappears into nothingness before the arrow can even make it through to the other side. I'm left half kneeling on the ground in shock. I gulp down the rest of my HP potion to twist my head toward the direction that glowing arrow came from. The rogue's low and clear voice rings out again. Good fight, you set up the perfect shot. I see the hooded man standing 20 m away holding a bow with another white glowing arrow loaded. He grins as I look at him in awe. Oh, no prob. You know, I could have handled him. He laughs. You know what I think you could have? I just wanted in on the fun too. I grit my teeth and walk over to him, still covered in a dark red aura of flames. I point my glowing blade at his head. What do you want? Why'd you even help me in the first place? The cloaked man puts his bow down and the arrow disappears. He puts one hand up in the air to pull the hood off his head. It reveals him to be a young tan-skinned man with short silver hair. His eyes are very light blue, and he wears a pair of thin black dangling earrings. He smiles at me again while placing both hands in the air. Whoa there. I just watched you sacrifice yourself for your teammates, so I came to enjoy the show. It's not that deep. My eyes and lips tighten for a moment. Then he continues. My name is Ari. Nice to meet you. I stare into his light blue eyes for a moment, then lower my sword. I'm Jay. He puts out his right hand. I stare at it for a moment, then take a step forward to shake it. Nice to meet you too. That's a neat bow, by the way, and the arrows are interesting as well. I've never seen anything quite like it. We both let out a light sigh of relief as the tension lessens. He picks up the bow and summons an arrow, pointing it off into the distance, then lets it soar. Yeah, it's a unique skill actually, and well, it's a legendary grade. He winks. I raise an eyebrow, then use inspect and appraisal. LV. 300. Active items. Cloak of Swiftness plus 60% speed plus 60% agility. Lesser Demon's Dagger set plus 40% strength plus 40% agility. Enchanted Ring of Defense plus 55% defense. Enchanted Ring of Magic plus 55% mental strength. Enchanted Ranger's Bow plus 400 strength plus 400 speed. Earrings of Alignment. Rodrigo's Silver Bracelet. Active skills. Dagger Mastery. Spirit Archer. Legendary grade. I reply, a unique skill, huh? And a legendary grade? That means, what exactly? He smirks, then crosses his arms. Let me join your party. Hey, wait a minute. I asked you a question. You have a unique skill too, right? Or at least a special grade of some sort. I know for a fact that wasn't regular fire magic. I eye him carefully. It's mostly my blade. It has a fire aspect buff. I lift up my sword, hoping he'll believe my bluff. The real reason my flames are so special is because they're powered by half a dozen skills at once. He examines it carefully, then rolls his eyes. Figures, I got my hopes up for nothing. Anyways, let me join your party. Hey, you need a ranged hunter. I've seen you all fight. I gulp. You've got a point. Hey, when did you see us all fight? He grins. See? I'm great at stealth missions too. What do you say? Add me as a temporary member. Come on. I pause for a moment to think. Fine. There's only 2 more floors anyways. He smiles and turns towards the back of the dungeon. Great. Let's get going. His entire demeanor has drastically changed. Moments ago, he was a dark and dreadful stealth rogue. Now he's grinning cheerfully with heavy footsteps. I don't fully trust the guy, but he's strong. It's better to ally with him now than to be pointless enemies. I guess, yeah, let's get going. We walk side by side deeper into the dungeon. I use enemy detection to locate my team. They're roughly 600 m away, straight ahead. Ari speaks up as we pick up the pace. Did you guys find any monsters in this dungeon? I shake my head.
Unfortunately, no.
Odd, right? He nods. Very. We continue onward. I keep a distance between us and continue gripping my sword to be ready for battle at any moment. But the tan-skinned bow wielder just continues to merrily half-skip alongside me. I don't sense any hostility, and he did kind of save my life. I would have been fine, but he definitely helped me out. I let out a sigh as the faint sight of 4 hunters comes into view in the distance. They stop moving and draw their weapons. I reply by pointing my sword in the air and shooting off a ball of flames to show them it's me. I watch the swords drop, then a flash of blue light comes running at me. It stops 30 m away. Maria stands before us covered head to toe in a thin layer of ice with squinted eyes. Who is this guy? I grin and point to the bow-carrying rogue with an open palm. Maria, meet Ari. Ari, this is Maria. He grins. It's a pleasure to meet you. Maria lifts her sword. Okay, Anda? Again. Who is this guy? We slowly walk over to her as I speak up again. He helped me out with the battle earlier. He's just tagging along for now. You sure about this, Jay? I'm sure. Oomph. Okay. Maria lets her sword down as we walked past. She lets out a sigh, then looks me in the eyes. I'm glad you're okay, Jay. I mean I knew you would be, but you know. I let out a chuckle and smile as she turns to walk with us. Good to see you again too. The rest of our team members arrive soon after. The 3 of them stand in a line sharing similar confused expressions while eyeing the tan rogue up and down. I nod to all of them, then look over to the hooded man. This is Bruce, Nessa, and Abby. He nods. Guys, this is Ari. He'll be our temporary ranged fighter. He may turn out to be a solid ally, so keep an open mind. They all nod hesitantly, but Bruce breaks the awkward silence with a thud from his hammer hitting the ground. Jay, if you think he's a good fit, it works for me. I smile. Great. It's settled. Ari, welcome to the team. The 6 of us head off to the dungeon's boss room. As we travel forward, the small talk continues. The others begin to lighten up to Ari a bit. He's an interesting character. Only time will tell how he fits in with the crew. Chapter 102. As we walk closer and closer to our destination, the odd feeling of being watched from a distance doesn't change at all. The air feels rather dense with mana, almost like a dungeon break. But not quite. The peculiar dark, floating particles become much more visible in the air. I hear Abby's high-pitched voice call out from the front of our formation while watching her green ponytails bob up and down as she jumps in the air. Look! It's right there. We made it! My eyes perk up as I see the faint glow of a boss room portal twisting and fluctuating on the horizon. There's only one hunter beside it, the exam monitor. Maria replies to her in an optimistic tone. Exciting! Then scrounges her nose and clicks her tongue lightly. But, are we ready for this? I smirk. I am. I've been itching for a fight. Ari chuckles. You just had a pretty intense battle. I roll my eyes and look back at him with a scowl, then a playful smile. Yeah, but it was cut short. Somebody had to jump in and save the day. He sighs. Maria laughs. I'm sure we'll get a good fight and win. I'm confident in my abilities. She looks over to Bruce, Nessa, and Abby with concern plastered across her face. Abby's face goes red as she replies. Hey, what are you trying to say? I can handle whatever is thrown at me too. Just watch. Nessa tightens the grip on her sword nervously as Bruce smirks and replies while lifting his left wrist in the air. Don't worry about us. We'll fight until the end no matter what. Even if we face an opponent too tough, we've got Dash. He looks Maria up and down, then locks eyes on her left arm. Where's your bracelet? She hides her wrists behind her back. The thing is Dash. I cut her off. It's a long story. I'm surprised it took you this long to notice. Everyone's eyes are focused on Maria, but she breaks the silence after a few seconds, bringing her hands back to her front side. As I said, I'm confident in my abilities. You all just worry about yourselves. She blushes a bit, and the group takes it as a sign not to push her any further. We continue forward, and I hear Ari whisper something under his breath. Very, very interesting. As the 6 of us approach, the monitor waves us down and calls out. Welcome, welcome. You all know the rules, line up. Abby looks back and gives us all a firm nod. I'm going first. I look over to Maria to see her sifting through her item box. She pulls out over half a dozen MP potions and splits them between Bruce, Abby, and Nessa. Just in case. I want them back once you all make it through. Really, just in case. They accept them hesitantly. Then Abby replies with a grin while glowing bright green. Thanks. I appreciate you, Maria. I'll see all of you on the other side. She jumps through without another word. Bruce and Nessa stand up front. Maria is behind them, followed by me, and Ari patiently waits at the back of the line. Next. One by one, my teammates jump through the swirling portal in front of me. Next. The monitor nods to me. Then I jump through with my sword held tightly between my palms. I step through the twisting wall of energy to find myself in a very similar environment on the other side. The ground is flat and stretches out in all directions. There's no end in sight. The black particles floating off the ground are even bigger and more visible. The eerie feeling of being watched becomes much more intense. I can feel the weight of 10 times the eyes watching my every movement. There is malicious intent, but whatever is observing seems to be more curious than eager for a brawl. I grit my teeth and begin activating all my relevant skills. A dark red aura forms around my body as I scan the area with inspect, enemy detection, and appraisal in all directions. I feel a shift in the energy as the gaze upon me blinks momentarily. So you don't like it when I look back at you? I grin as its stats show up in my mind's eye. 150M. LV. 310. Active items. Amulet of Protection plus 50% defense. Medallion of Mental Fortitude plus 50% mental strength. Active skills. All-Seeing Eye. Telekinesis. The moment I lock onto my target, I turn my head to look in its direction. To my surprise, the moment I do, an eruption of rock takes place 100m or so in front of me, obstructing my vision. I smirk and ignite my sword into a dull flicker of flames while darting off in the direction of the flying rock. Within a few seconds, I close the gap between us to under 50m. Another explosion blows chunks of stone up to 3m wide up in the air. They seem to float for longer than normal, letting whatever beast is behind the barrier of rubble slip away unnoticed. Come on out. Let me get a good look at ya. I burst into flames while cutting through the flying rocks, making my way closer and closer to the elusive monster. The piles of large black rocks begin reforming as I cut them down, slowing me as I draw nearer and nearer. Telekinesis, huh? Two can play that game. I stop in my tracks while focusing on the floating debris all around me. The force of a monster with incredible mental strength is controlling these slabs of stone. The rocks shift and begin closing in toward me from all directions. The aura around me darkens, and I release a wave of telekinesis to sense all the mounds of earth hurtling my way. An invisible force of artificial, unwavering gravity pushes these stones at me while watching from a distance. The monster feels my mind attempting to push back but doesn't give me much attention at first. It's focused on a singular task. It must eliminate the threat without being seen. That threat is me. I let out a loud yell while straining my brain to gain control of the walls of massive incoming rocks. With a violent release of my intimidation skill, a wave of energy is sent out into our battlefield's mental ether. The invisible wave of energy travels through layers of stone for over 50m before hitting its target. Then, I feel the monster experience a moment of shock and awe. The creature's mental grip loosens for a fraction of a second, so I jump in for the kill. Thudded. All of the mounds of projectiles fall to the ground with the deafening thud of stone on stone. I strain my telekinesis ability to its limits while clearing a path toward my new prey. This unknown monster is less than 30m away now, and the suspense is killing me. What kind of beast has powers like this? I continue ripping through fallen rock with a fiery sword while battling the startled monster in a duel of wills. Its mental strength has fully returned, and it's attempting to lift the rocks again. The monster stays in the same place while doing so. Its multitasking skills must be limited while expending this much mana. I smirk as I come within 10m, blasting away the final walls of debris with wind magic and slashes of dark crimson fire energy. As the dust settles, I take in the view of my opponent and let out a declaration of war. It is time for the great reveal. What? They? An enormous floating eye blinks at me 2 times very slowly as we stare at each other in awe. The top of its body is nearly level with my own. It's much smaller than I imagined it'd be. The monster hovers about half a meter above the ground and has close to a dozen tentacles protruding from its dark green circular body. Its skin is coarse-looking, and the faint rotten smell of old sour bread lingers in the air. Each of the beast's slimy limbs is no more than a few centimeters thick, but they flow outwards in all directions, exceeding its actual body's length by 2 or 3 times. A wide open mouth of razor-sharp, jagged teeth directly below its eye growls at me as the creature takes advantage of the break in fighting. I watch it fly upwards, attempting to escape from its imminent demise. Not so fast. I begin forming dense pockets of air beneath my feet and follow the monster upwards. I step onto nothingness, but continuously use the force of my wind magic under each of my long strides to push me farther into the air. I grin as I feel the air flow by my face, and the rush of a difficult chase fills my blood with adrenaline. My acceleration stays constant as the distance between me and the floating monstrosity decreases. My blade begins to glow bright red, and my aura burns darker and darker. I creep up to it within striking distance and launch an attack. The two of us are flying over 20m in the air. I bring my sword down on the creature with a powerful swift motion. Half of its tentacles are under my blade, and it's surely a direct hit to the main body as well. As my glowing weapon travels downwards, I feel the odd sensation of being watched again. It's like there's eyes on me from all directions. Any way I turn my head, I won't be able to see where it's coming from. No matter what I hide behind, these eyes will always see me. Shingig. I follow through with my attack despite the odd violating sensation. My eyes open wide as I watch each individual tentacle twist and turn to avoid my blade by mere millimeters, and the large round body makes a 90-degree turn in midair to avoid my attack. The movements look so natural and graceful. I grit my teeth and kick off an invisible pocket of my wind magic to mimic its sudden turn and follow close behind. The feeling of being watched from every single fathomable angle does not stop. This must be a result of its all-seeing eye ability. It appears this monster is going to be a tougher opponent than I thought. Chapter 103. After our abrupt change in direction, I decide to pick up the pace. With a loud yell and a burst of flames, I push myself forward using swift gusts of wind beneath my feet. I focus my mana deep within my sword's core and let out a dark crescent of energy from a distance aimed directly at the monster. At first, it looks like a direct hit. To my surprise, I feel the familiar sensation of being watched grow greater and greater as the slash approached its target. Just like before, the creature shifts its body in the air ever so slightly to avoid the oncoming attack with incredibly graceful, natural movements. I grit my teeth while watching the slimy tentacles twist and turn to Natalie avoid my fiery crescent of death like it's a slow-moving pitch. With another loud yell and an enormous air step forward, I let out an even bigger slash. Take this. Then another. How about that? Then another. I release over half a dozen full-force attacks until my MP nears 0. The elusive monster keeps wiggling and squirming around every shot I throw at it with ease. While taking a deep breath, I reach into my item storage and take out a few mana crystals to plunder my MP back up to full. The massive floating eye begins slowly changing its direction toward the ground. It's aiming to make its way toward the piles of stone it previously manipulated with its telekinesis skill. Going down is much easier than flying up. I smirk and follow it with haste. While locking my eyes on the target, an interesting idea comes to mind. If it can't see the attack coming, maybe it won't be able to dodge. Wind summoning. I concentrate on the monster's main body in front of me as I plummet to the ground behind it. 8 large spears of invisible wind magic form all around me in a circle collecting strength. Once we're less than 10 m off the ground, I let my weapons fly. The dense pockets of wind soar at it from above. The monster doesn't change its trajectory at all. I finally outsmarted this disgusting creature. Mere seconds before impact, I feel the heavy feeling of being observed once again. This time, it's with even greater depth. It feels like every last cell in my body is being poked and prodded by infinite invisible eyes. I gulp, then watch sharp spears of wind whiz around the monster as it spins its body, flapping its tentacles around in a mocking manner. The main eye looks at me and I see its wide smile create a malicious grin showing every last finely sharpened tooth. The ground below begins to rumble as I see it shift and crack, forming an uncountable amount of jagged stones. The monster continues twisting its body out of the way. I manage to change the direction of my wind spears, but they're blocked by a barrage of floating rocks. I grit my teeth and let out a grunt of frustration as I kick off the air on my left side to follow its movements even further down toward the dark-colored ground. The air around me pushes my hair back and makes it difficult to keep my eyes open, but I keep pushing forward. The large pieces of rock begin moving in on me again. I don't bother trying to use telekinesis this time around. I furiously swing my sword in front of me, releasing attacks of fire and wind, shattering and incinerating the objects flying at me from all sides. Every explosion gets me closer and closer to this annoying beast. I rack my brain for ideas. Longer-range attacks don't work, close-range slashes hardly do the trick, and my mental strength is pretty much equal, so overpowering its mind is off the list too. I smirk as a last resort plan comes to mind. It's worth a try. I guess I'll test out that skill I've been sitting on. If I can get close enough. Another boulder comes flying toward me and I smash it to bits with ease. At this point, they're not threatening attacks, it's just irritating. My sword glows brighter and brighter red as I smash the incoming boulders in front of me while shielding myself with a layer of wind from my backside. We're no more than 5 m above the ground now, and I'm less than 3 m behind it. A constant futile bombardment of stone keeps me swinging my blade as I steadily increase in speed, eyeing my prey. Finally, my blade is within range. I summon a wall of wind around the monster's left side, making sure its only option is to go up or to the right. From above, I swing my glowing fiery blade downward, releasing an intense wave of dark crimson flames. As expected, the monster's perception ability kicks in the moment my threat approaches. I let go of my blade while using telekinesis to carry it downwards at a swift and constant pace. The monster lets out a screech and twists its body to the right side. Simultaneously, I dive into the same open space, pushing off a pocket of wind to accelerate my movements even further. The creature's main eye opens wide as the iris sporadically searches for an open path to slither away through. I let out a burst of intimidation with a grin ear to ear as I hurtle towards its main body, both arms stretched out wide. I sense its fear as my hand makes contact with its coarse, yet wet and slimy skin. Equivalent exchange. The moment I mutter these words, my entire body begins to glow white, and a text box appears in my mind's eye. Use equivalent exchange. Available HP. 1515/1515. Enter amount. Yes. No. My mind starts racing. I grab the monster in front of me tight with my other arm as we fall to the ground with exceptional speed. Available HP. Time slows down as my previous battle facing a hunter with this skill flashes through my memories. Every time he made contact with me, he'd do damage. It seems like I have to sacrifice my own HP to deal an equivalent attack to my opponent. I grit my teeth and make my decision. This may be my only chance. I'll go all in. I picture the number 1500 in the floating text box, and chose yes without another thought. A blinding flash of white light appears, and that horrible sensation comes back with it. Thousands of daggers piercing my skin all over. It fluctuates from hot and cold while sucking a massive amount of health points out of me in an instant. I let out a scream of agony as we plummet faster and faster toward the ground. The beast in my hands shrieks with pain as well. Its body convulses and its tentacles flail out of control as I let go and conjure a pocket of wind to stop my descent. Thudded. I watch the monster hit the ground with a bone-breaking thud as I hover less than 2 m above it, breathing heavier than I ever have before. The beast stares back at me with its now bloodshot eye, growling and squirming on the ground hopelessly. I lift my hand in the air using telekinesis to catch my falling blood-red sword. With a final smirk and a slight nod of respect, I release a wave of fire, cutting the creature in two. Level up. Use absorption. Skill, all-seeing eye. Yes. No. I slowly hover down to the ground and choose yes without hesitation, then reach into my storage and item box to take out a few mana crystals and 2 HP potions. While healing myself back up to full health, I active all-seeing eye out of curiosity. The moment the skill goes live, I can feel a massive amount of MP begin leaving my body. But at the same time, everything around me becomes crystal clear. The piles of rubble, the small dark floating particles, the dissolving remains of the monster in front of me, everything. Even the distinct movements of mana flowing through my body and the floor of the dungeon itself. I look down at my hands to watch the mana course through my bloodstream for a moment, then murmur to myself in awe, I can see everything. I gulp and open my status. Status open. Name, J. Soju I. Level, 303 I. HP, 1520/1520 I.
MEP, 990, 1520 I.
Strength, 734, plus 646 I. Speed, 874, plus 524, plus 262 I. Agility 904 I. Defense 655 plus 262 plus 229 plus 164 AI. Mental strength 734 plus 147 plus 352 plus 293 plus 330 I. Skills 1. Absorption I. Swordsmanship I.
Combat Magic 4 Summoning I.
Inspect Special grade I. Enemy detection I. Body hardening Special grade I. Self-regeneration I. Spatial magic Item storage I. Plunder Telekinesis I. Appraisal Special grade I. Conceal I. Dungeon walker I. Intimidation I. Dagger mastery I. Stealth Bloodlust Equivalent exchange I. Combat magic Wind summoning I. All-seeing I. Dash Empty slots I. Items equipped 1. Golden wolf ring plus 20% mental strength I. Cyclops eye pendant plus 40% defense I. Dark elf boots plus 60% speed I. The Flame Emperor's sword fire aspect plus 88% strength plus 48% mental strength I. Ring of protection plus 35% defense I. Griffin's talon plus 40% mental strength I. Enchanted silver ring plus 30% speed I. Ring of protection plus 25% defense I. Desert troll's charm plus 45% mental strength I. Rodrigo's silver bracelet I. Dash no more empty slots I. Hidden menu I.
PP 303 I.
My eyes scramble back and forth to take in an odd-looking status filled with new numbers and letters. I deactivate my all-seeing eye skill and the eye ions and extra lines of text disappear from my mind's eye. I gulp, then reactivate my skill, taking in the information in front of me again. I start by clicking the eye icon next to my sword. It's my main weapon, so it takes priority here. The Flame Emperor's sword. Fire aspect. Plus 88% strength. Plus 48% mental strength. Info. A sword crafted from the horn of a minotaur and the fiery core of a volcanic salamander using the legendary grade crafting skill. Class B+. Type Evolution. Durability 81/100. My eyes light up as I read the text before me, grinning ear to ear. Next, I curiously click on the eye icon next to the new option labeled PP. Proficiency points. Info. A single proficiency point will be earned for every level gained. Use PP to upgrade your skills. Cost. No grade dash. Special grade. 50 PP. Special grade dash. Legendary grade. 250 PP. Unique grade dash. Advanced unique grade 100 PP. My heart starts pounding, and the grin across my face just keeps growing wider and wider. I look at one of the most peculiar items in my status next. Rodrigo's silver bracelet. Info. A bracelet crafted by 2 magic users by combining the unique respawn skill and the legendary grade crafting skill. This item allows the user to respawn back to a specified location after being killed as long as the bracelet is making contact with its user upon their death. Class A+. Type Multi-use. Durability 50/100. The monster's corpse below my feet dissolves and drops a mana crystal, but I pay it no mind as I'm consumed with awe at the possibilities within the brand new status at my fingertips. I continue scrolling furiously as I feel my MP being drained more and more by the second. Moments later, a white flash covers my vision indicating I'm being transported to the next floor. I deactivate all my skills and take a deep breath in and out to prepare myself for floor 15. I'll have all the time in the world to play with my newfound abilities later. Chapter 104. The white light begins to dissipate and I open my eyes to see a single hunter in front of me. I gulp and look around. Ari, where are the others? He's sitting on a large rock covered in moss about 2 m off the ground. There's incredibly lush plant life all as far as the eye can see. The twisting green vines cover the dungeon floor with small blooming red, pink, and white flowers. There are blue and purple berries dangling from thick bushes and short yellow-tinted assortments of shrubbery all around us. I walk forward hesitantly past a massive tree wrapped in plant life with arching branches that cover our view of the sky above. Ari responds with a neutral tone. You're the first to come out. Well, aside from me at least. He shows me a light smile, then looks up at the jungle's canopy to take in the view. As I begin to respond, a white light flashes behind us. Maria's voice rings out and I let out a sigh of relief as I turn to see her wide grin. Now that was an annoying little creature. It wasn't that strong. It just took forever to wear it down. I nod. Yeah, tricky one. Ari lets out a small chuckle and a sigh of his own. It was like all the others, one shot, and the boss is dead. He bends one leg upwards to rest his arm on his knee while continuing to sit atop the boulder. The cloaked figure stares at both of us curiously while placing his chin down into the bent arm covering the lower half of his face. The only visible features are his light blue eyes and short silver hair. A flash of light appears once again, and the green-haired healer comes flying out. Maria is the first to greet her. Abby, you made it! She glows bright while healing the massive cuts and blunt force wounds covering her body. She grins and looks up at us. What a great fight. That thing was creepy, but it could manipulate rock too, so I finally got to go all out with my combat magic. She scratches her head, then continues. Oh, Maria, about those MP potions. I kind of used them all. Maria laughs and lightly slaps her on the back. Hey, we're on the last floor. Who cares? I had a feeling you'd use them anyways. They both walk off over to a small flowing creek about 10 m away, chuckling about something. Not all the details are clear to me. I take a deep breath in and out while staring at the swirling portal at the dungeon's entrance. Ari does the same with his fierce, yet concerned, unmoving eyes. We sit and stand in silence for another 2 minutes straight. My heart pounds faster and faster the longer our wait goes on. I'm not particularly worried about anything bad happening. Both Bruce and Nessa have their bracelets on. If they lose this battle, they'll just be sent back to the respawn point. It's just, this is the first time I've worked together with a group of people as a team and actually enjoyed it. I'd really like to at least see it through to the end of this exam. I gulp and continue to stare at the portal in front of me as the seconds pass by ever so slowly. The tree branches sway in the artificial dungeon breeze. Maria and Abby laugh off in the distance by the stream, and the vines around the jungle floor twist and grow in my imagination as an eternity seems to go by. Finally, I see a flash of light. My eyes widen as the short red-haired mage comes stumbling out of the portal with a manic grin plastered across her face, dripping blood from head to toe. She looks me in the eyes and murmurs a few words. I beat it. Thud. Nessa falls to the floor moments later. Both Maria and Abby come running over. I nod slowly and whisper under my breath. Just one more. Abby immediately begins glowing bright green surrounding Nessa's body in an orb of warm light. I become a bit more relieved as the life creeps back into the redhead's face, but my eyes keep wandering back to the portal behind them. With Maria and Abby kneeling over Nessa as she eventually stands to her feet, my vision tunnels on the twisting energy before my eyes. Nothing else matters right now. The branches in the great trees above creak and shift to reveal a small ray of light pouring down from the beautiful blue sky. Time slows down for me even more as I wait patiently. Then, a flash of light finally occurs and a battle-ridden tank carrying a crimson-stained war hammer appears before my eyes. A weight is lifted off my back. Nessa slowly sits up as Bruce lets out a bellowing laugh. A small trickle of blood rolls down the side of his forehead. Now that one gave me a run for my money. What a boss. What a boss indeed. He looks at me with a toothy grin and nods firmly. I nod back. Good to see we all made it. Ari lifts his chin from his knee, then swiftly jumps down from the boulder above us. Nessa stands to her feet and drinks an HP potion to finish up her healing process. Then I point my sword off into the wilderness. This is our last floor. Everyone stay sharp. Let's all make it through this in one piece. Bruce heals up with an HP potion of his own, and we get back into a similar formation to begin the trek through the dungeon. Bruce stays up front with his shield held steady. Abby and Nessa take the lead with him on either side. Maria stays about 5 behind Bruce while Ari and I cover the rear about 5 more meters behind her. The jungle is silent, aside from the swaying leaves and crackle of branches underneath our footsteps. There are no bugs and no sign of life in sight. 5 minutes of ducking and weaving through the thick shrubbery goes by before I strike up a conversation with Ari. I really hope this dungeon isn't like our last one. That was pretty odd. Don't you think? I've never seen one with no monsters. Ari nods while swiftly ducking under a low-hanging vine covered in pink and white blossoming flowers. I've seen some like it before. He stares forward as I jump over a log covered in dense green moss growing an assortment of mushrooms across its backside. Oh yeah? Which one? There's a dungeon here in the capital with no monsters? Just a boss. He lets out a long sigh. No, not in the capital. There's a few like that near my home village. I raise an eyebrow, then grin. Oh yeah? Where are you from? Ari's eyes rapidly move back and forth as he scans the surrounding area, then nods, speaking in a low tone. There's a change in his expression. His eyes are filled with sadness, and his voice shakes ever so slightly. I'm not exactly from the Vice region. I just came out here on an independent contract to take the exam. The forest falls even more silent as we continue to walk forward. I eye the hooded archer up and down, then crack a thin smile. You know, I can't get a good read on you, Ari, but I hope we can be friends. I want to see what that bow can really do. We lock eyes for a moment, then he mimics my thin smiles back. I'd like that too. There seems to be a lot more to unpack concerning Ari's past, but now isn't the time. Crack. I hear a large branch break and Bruce's deep voice rings loudly throughout the forest. We got our first monster. It's a tough one. I grit my teeth and run forward to join the action. While twisting and turning my body through all the fallen trees and heavy greenery, a battle is starting without me. The blue glow of ice magic fills my vision as well as the heat from a blazing fire. The ground begins to rumble, and I hear a loud clang of something hard slamming against Bruce's shield. Ari and I race forward into the small open clearing ahead. A long slithering snake-like creature comes into view. Its scaly skin is pure white, with a small red diamond-shaped marking on the top of its head. The fast-moving tongue protruding from its mouth is jet black and split in two. To top it all off, its dark blue eyes stare us down the instant we come into view. The jungle floor turns into a battlefield, split in half, covered in ice where Maria stands, and burning bright alongside Nessa. Abby stands atop a pillar of stone between the two of them while Bruce charges forward at the beast with no fear. He yells out to us once he notices we've arrived at the scene. Sit tight, you two. This will be over before you know it. Enjoy the show. The 15-meter-long Goliath of a snake brings its head up in the air to stare down at all of us. The monster lets out a loud hiss and an energy wave of intimidation erupts from its body to show off its immense strength. The first battle of the 15th floor is about to begin. Chapter 105. The bone-white serpent opens its mouth to show off a pair of razor-sharp, curved fangs, then dives in to attack. I hear another clang of metal on metal as Bruce blocks it with his shield. The tank's feet dig deep into the ground as the snake pushes his body backward. Maria lets out a battle cry as she jumps in for an attack of her own. She jumps over the ongoing attack to release an ice-filled slash with her sword all the way down the snake's spine. A thick layer of frozen magic forms on the monster's back as it lets out a hiss and arches back away from Bruce. I watch Abby run at the beast as well, the ground rippling beneath her feet. 2 large spears of stone protrude from the ground on either side of her. With a forceful hand gesture, they hurtle at the monstrous snake. Nessa jumps in to do her part as well. With a fiery slash, she aims for the beast's neck to finish it off. Clang. On impact, the spears of stone hardly puncture the tough serpent's scaly skin. Nessa's sword bounces off like a bat on rubber, and the snake violently shakes its body to shatter the layer of ice on its backside. The beast lets out a loud hiss, staring the 4 of them down with newfound hatred. Again, a wave of intimidation is released and the battle continues. The white serpent's perfectly placed scales have been broken in 3 places along its back. 2 small wounds drip blood from the spears of stone, and 1 larger long slash still glows blue from magic ice residue. Overall, its HP couldn't have dropped more than 10 to 15% in total, but it's a start. I used Inspect and Appraisal. LV. 312. Active items. Serpent Scale, plus 40% mental strength, plus 40% magic resistance. Active skills. Intimidation. Bruce charges forward with his shield out front and the massive warhammer at the ready. With a loud clash, the battle continues. Bruce fends off the beast as it angrily bites at his shield while Abby, Nessa, and Maria chip away at its health. The only one doing any real damage seems to be Maria, but she is still having a semi-difficult time piercing its thick magic-resistant armored scales. The 4 of them attack and dodge in perfect synchronicity 6 more times in total. Bruce keeps positioning himself at perfect angles to take the brute force attacks while Nessa distracts it from the side. Abby and Maria are the quickest and their attacks do the most damage. With a final icy swing of her sword, Maria finally freezes the serpent's neck solid. The beast hisses loudly as Abby keeps it pinned to the ground. The blue wave of magic covers its head moments later, and the monster stops moving once completely encased in ice. The 4 of them grin with excitement and open their statuses moments later. I walk over to them as the snake dissolves. Did you all gain a good amount of levels? To face one of those alone, you'll need quite a bit more. They all nod in agreement as a large pink mana crystal drops to the floor. Bruce picks it up and tosses it to Maria, then turns to me. Yeah. As a team, that snake was easy to figure out. Alone is a whole different story. We're all going to need to learn how they fight, and grow a bit ourselves too. Crack. The sound of a huge branch breaking makes me whip my head around OC, an identical predator slithering our way. It's breaking down small trees and moving boulders with ease as it charges at us in a fit of rage. It's another serpent from our backside. I yell out to the group. Get back. This one's OU dash. I don't even get to finish my sentence. Ari lifts his bow and conjures a glowing white arrow. The moment it leaves his quiver, my eyes track the glowing energy soar through the air. Fractions of a second later, it makes contact directly in the center of the red diamond atop the new serpent's head. My eyes widen, and I cross my arms, giving the archer a slow head nod of respect as the arrow pierces through its target all the way through. A perfect circle 5 centimeters wide is left on the snake's forehead as it falls to the ground with lifeless eyes. Thudded. I let out a chuckle, then a laugh, then hit Ari playfully on the back as the others stare at the remains of this one-shot kill. That is the same beast that took all 4 of them an entire battle to defeat. Nice one. Let me in on the action next time. He turns to me with a thin smile. Fine with me. We all walk over to the fallen beast moments later and Ari collects his mana crystal. Abby interjects. Hey, you're like, really strong. Nessa continues to stare wide-eyed at him. Maria eyes his bow with a jealous red face. Bruce nods. I agree. That was impressive. As we turn to continue walking through the dense green forest, Ari replies. Appreciate it, but we'll all have to get much stronger sooner or later. A few mouths opened attempting to reply, but there wasn't much to say at that. He's right. but it's just an odd response considering he defeated that monster with 0 difficulties. We all nod in silence. I break up the awkwardness and point my sword in the air towards the direction we were headed. Let's continue. The deeper we walk into this jungle, the denser it gets. We stay in formation, but slashing through the thick plant life gets a bit annoying after a while. No more than 20 minutes in, another large serpent monster appears. Using my Berserker, Bloodlust, Wind, and Fire magic, I'm able to create a pretty deadly slash. On contact, I slice its head off in one hit. With all my added buffs, I still let out a struggle-filled yell, and there was a bit of resistance while cutting through the first thick layer of scales. I basically had to use all my strength. In the end, I still managed to take it out in one shot. Level up. Ari sports a wide grin, and I see a glimmer of emotion in his eyes once again. This time it looks like hope. Not bad, not bad. I give him a firm nod back before replying. Thanks. The others stare at me with a bit of awe as well. Maybe they're now realizing the true power level gap between us. Even Maria, although she can't see the monster's 40% magic resistance buff. Taking out a monster like this relies more on brute strength than pure magic power. I read the room and turned to the others. Well, looks like you 4 will be up front for the rest of our trek to the boss room. A few more levels and studying their movements will do the trick. You'll be ready for the boss in no time. They all let out a long sigh in unison, accepting the fact that I'm right. The only way they'll beat this incoming boss is to level up and sharpen their skills. The 4 of them travel up front for the rest of the journey through the dungeon. The trees get even thicker, the jungle gets hotter, and the battles get tougher. After 2 hours of burning, slashing, and smashing the vines and fallen trees in our way, we finally made it near the dungeon's end. I know this because while using enemy detection, I can only sense one target ahead of us. It has to be the Monitor. After 7 total fights, they've all passed level 300. So far, Bruce and Maria are the only ones that have taken on a solo battle of their own. Bruce's hammer and natural strength buffs work very well against these magic-resistant monsters. With just half a dozen clean hits to the head, the tank can take out a serpent on its own. Maria has also improved greatly. One of the serpents from earlier dropped a scale. With her wearing one of these, she's able to outpace the snakes and freeze them solid in under 4 hits. With her speed, agility, and overpowered natural magic buff, she's more than ready for a tough opponent, even with its resistance to her skill. Abby's use of the surroundings allows her to trap the snakes whenever they're on solid ground. The rocks she summons are made of actual stone. When puncturing the beasts, it seems the 40% buff isn't taken into account with actual solid material. She hasn't fought one solo yet, but I'm confident she'll be able to take one on. No problem. My only concern is Nessa. She's gained a few levels, and her sword can now puncture its scales. But barely. The fire magic she uses has no real benefits in a battle like this. Facing a serpent one-on-one will definitely be difficult for her. Not impossible, but close to it. I speak up. Hey, we're nearing the boss room, guys, so here. Take these. I reach into my item box and take out 6 HP potions. I know Maria is stocked up, so I don't bother giving her any. I hand 2 each to Nessa, Abby, and Bruce. Just in case. I have a feeling this will be a tough fight. They all accept them graciously, but I can tell Nessa is nervous. I open my mouth to say something to her, but Maria's loud, high-pitched voice interrupts me. Hey, look! We made it! She's standing on top of a moss-covered boulder about 10 m in front of us that peers over a small portion of fallen trees. I see the boss room. The whole group excitedly runs up to where she's standing. Nessa stays back and looks me in the eyes, speaking in a nervous tone. Hey, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Do you have any other ski skills I could borrow? I let out a sigh, then think to myself for a moment. I speak to her in a low voice while handing her another 2 bottles of HP potions. Here, let's start with these. A few more HP potions will help. Now skill, let me think. She knows I have more than 3 skills from our previous hunting sessions. Plus, if she's been paying any attention to me, Nessa has definitely seen me use quite a few during this raid. If she's able to watch me activate skills with her mimic ability, who knows how many she's seen. She has kept her mouth shut for this long. I can trust her with one more. I let out a sigh, then smile. This may hurt a bit, but mimic it. Trust me. I place both my hands on Nessa's shoulder and whisper. Equivalent exchange. Use equivalent exchange. Available HP. 1525/1525. Enter amount. Yes. No. I enter 5 and choose yes. White light flashes and I feel a familiar but dulled-down sharp pain. It subsides very quickly. Nessa's eyes open wide. Then I hear Maria's voice yell out. Are you two coming, or what? The others have already climbed over the rock to the other side. Maria waves to us from above. I wave back, squinting my eyes. Yeah, we're on our way. Maria smiles and bobs her head, then jumps down from the rock out of sight. I nod to Nessa, then briefly explain how this skill works, and warn her about how much it hurts. She's shocked at first but catches on quickly. Nessa has the speed and agility, plus enough HP potions to kill one of these snakes 5 times over with her new skill. Even with magic resistance, guaranteed damage is better than fire that can't break the snake's scaly skin. With a grin on each of our faces, we jump over the large green boulder to see the rest of our team standing in front of a swirling portal of magic energy. The test monitor in front of the boss room speaks up. This all of you? Who's up first? I turn to my group. Are we all ready? This is the final room. It's not going to be easy. Bruce grins ear to ear and steps up to the portal with his hammer over his shoulder. I'll go first. I'm as ready as I'll ever be. Abby stretches her arms and cracks her knuckles. I'm next. This will be a fun one. Maria smirks, nods, and gets in line behind her without saying another word. I turn to Nessa. She looks a lot more confident now. The red-haired girl walks over and gets in line behind Maria while drawing her sword. Ready. I turn to Ari. He just motions for me to go first with a serious look across his face. I step in line behind Nessa and the archer follows. It's time to face the final boss of our second test. Chapter 106. The line slowly moves forward as my teammates jump through the boss room portal one by one. Next. The friendly-looking monitor gives me a firm nod as I walk up to the oval-shaped swirling mass of energy and take a step through. I keep my sword ready by my side as my future battlefield comes into view. Surprisingly, I see a semi-open grass field in front of me. There are enormous trees lining the back walls of the boss room dungeon all around me, creating an open circle about 100 m in diameter. The lush green leaves curl out over the flat land to create shade on the edges, but near the center, there's a large portion of open blue sky above. Large boulders and small trees are scattered around the open area, but there's no sign of a boss monster in sight. I scan my surroundings using enemy detection and inspect, but still, there's nothing. I walk forward with my sword out in front of me, looking around cautiously as I go. Crunch. I hear the sound of something hard breaking under immense pressure and turn to face the noise. Nothing. I squint, hold my breath, and keep walking slowly and steadily toward the center of the jungle's natural arena. Crack. There it is again. I turn my head to watch a small tree collapse and splinter under an invisible heavy pressure. The ground around it creaks as some unknown force approaches. I grit my teeth and ready my blade while glowing with the dark red aura of my berserker and bloodlust skills. My perception is naturally boosted. I can tell where the enemy is, but not what they look like. Unless, all-seeing eye. I temporarily activate my new skill while holding my sword flickering with flames in 2 hands. My eyes shift over the open plain as the skill activates. The light pink and pure white orbs and string-like patterns of mana flowing through the dungeon floor look incredible. The air is filled with millions of particles containing a similar substance. My eyes shift back and forth to take in the immaculate view until the creature making all that noise comes into my line of sight. Less than 30 m away from me, the clear outline of an enormous creature becomes clear to me. I can't see its actual body, but the perfect outline of its flowing mana makes it visible enough to fight. A 20 m long serpent is slowly slithering my way. The inside of its body glows brightly with mana, but its outer shell seems to be partly invisible still even to my all-seeing eye. This must be a special magic resistance trait. I attempt to use Inspect and Appraisal again, then grin ear to ear as it works perfectly this time around. LV 325. Active items. Serpent King Scale, plus 45% agility plus 45% magic resistance. Serpent King's Fang plus 50% mental strength. Active skills. Intimidation. Stealth. Without hesitation, I run at the monster while channeling mana into my sword. It begins to glow bright red as I let out a wave of intimidation to declare war on the boss before me. The moment I do, the serpent arches its back upwards and stares me down while countering my declaration of battle with a wave of its own intimidation. I smirk and activate stealth to disappear as I approach within striking range. The beast hisses and strikes with its fangs outreached. I dart away from its incoming blow with ease, watching the massive serpent's head crash into the hard ground. Immediately, mounds of dirt and rock are thrown in the air as the creature cracks the dense earth while hissing in frustration, deactivating its stealth skill. Another intense wave of intimidation hits me as I deactivate my own stealth skill. I face my now very visible opponent and turn off my all-seeing eye ability as well. The massive snake's eyes are easily the size of my head and a deep dark blue that almost looks black. Its fangs are just over a meter long each and look razor sharp. That same blood-red mark appears to be on this snake's forehead as well. The scales on this beast are on another level than those regular dungeon snakes. They're the purest white I've ever seen. The sunlight from above reflects off each scale, creating a glimmering shine like flawless diamonds. I couldn't help opening my mouth in awe to take in the view for a moment. As I do, the serpent lets out a ferocious hiss while waving its pronged jet-black tongue back and forth. It dives forward at me without a hint of holding back. I nod, close my eyes, take a deep breath in through my nose, exhale from my mouth, then ignite into an extravagant ball of flames. As I open my eyes, I use a dense pocket of wind magic to push me forward, while creating a dark crescent of fire magic to release from my red-hot blade. Clang. My sword makes contact with the serpent's upper jaw in midair as I push against its hard scales, narrowly avoiding the deadly fangs on either side of my body. I let out a yell while pushing downwards with all my might, releasing fire into the monster's open mouth. Crack. A series of scales on its nose begin to shatter as I sink my sword into its flesh. Blood gushes out, and I see the monster's pupils sharpen. All of a sudden, the beast lurches backward and closes its mouth with a loud snap. I make the split-second decision to jump away and land on the ground about 5 m back as the snake twists and turns its body, digging its nose deep into the solid ground to smother my flames. As it turns to me, I can see the anger burning in its eyes. Again, an intense wave of intimidation hits me as it lunges forward. I smirk and murmur to myself while gearing up for another intense exchange. They never learn. I launch myself upwards with a gust of wind, making contact with its already cracked and bloodied upper jaw. With an incredible release of fire magic and a whole lot of pure brute strength, the remaining layer of scales breaks as I slice its head in two. The beast attempts to close its open mouth and roll to the side like before, but I air-step to follow its movements, continuing my deadly slash. Once its magic-resistant scales were punctured, the snake cuts like butter and I let out waves of fire into its exposed flesh. Thud. The two halves of the well-done Serpent King fall to the dungeon floor. Level up. I deactivate my skills with a grin and wait patiently for the boss to disappear. 2 hits. It should have been 1. I let out a chuckle. Moments later, after thoroughly admiring my work, the loot drops. There's a heavy mana crystal that I put in my item storage, but also a shimmering white scale with a jet black string attached to it, making the item into a wearable necklace. I use Appraisal. Serpent King Scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance. Not bad. I put it around my neck, but don't feel the added buffs at all. I open my status and activate my all-seeing eye. The new item doesn't show up. The only data under where it should be says, No more empty slots. The self-explanatory, I guess. Now that I think about it, there have been a few people that have mentioned the equipped item limit. It really is 10. I hit the limit. With a sigh, I decide to take off my weaker Ring of Protection with a 25% defense boost. Immediately, I feel the new buffs activate, and Serpent King Scale appears on my list of equipped items. I toss my ring up and down in my hand a few times, then throw it in my item box. The white light of transfer magic fills my field of view as I deactivate all of my skills. Moments later, I open my eyes to a brand new world. Floor 16. I look around to see an eerily dark black sky, with no sign of even an artificial sun in sight. The floor is blood red, and it feels as hard as stone. My eyes wander around to see oddly shaped towers of jagged dark crimson rocks and valleys that fall deep into the darkness of what I could only guess is an endless abyss. The air feels dry, but the temperature is so hot my forehead immediately begins to drip with a thin layer of sweat. I gulp, then hear a familiar voice as I turn to see Rodrigo walking towards me. The tall man in a bright red suit with a short black, cleanly shaven beard speaks up. "Congratulations, number 34. You've made it to the third and final test of your exam." He shows me a thin grin as I put my hand out, assuming he has something to give me. "There will be no tags or special gifts this time around. I applaud you for making it this far, though. It seems you have passed the first test of luck and perseverance with flying colors. The second test of self-induced growth, producing a high enough skill level in such a short time, seems to have been a breeze for you as well. The third and final test will be all about teamwork, so make sure to find yourself a good group of trusted allies. More information will become available soon." I nod slowly, then look up at the man's emotionless white eyes. "Hey, why are you even here?" He raises an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" I gulp again, then wipe my forehead to clear the accumulated sweat before it rolls into my eyes. "Why are you running this exam? Why didn't they just put some random B or even C class on the job?" "I'm not trying to dash." He cuts me off. "It is rude to pry." I dash. "Congratulations on making it this far. Please join the others. There's only one rule. For now, no fighting." The powerful A-class examiner turns his body and points an open palm behind him as the familiar ripple of light distorts the air. Behind this veil, there are a few dozen hunters all sitting around wooden tables trading and showing off their gear from the floors below. This time around there's no large white tent for cover. I guess they're traveling light. "Understood, thank you." I walk forward and the first thing I see is Ari giving me a head nod of respect, with a grin across his face. "Good to see you made it. Did you finish it off in one hit as well?" I look him in the eyes as I walk over and reply begrudgingly in a low tone. "Two." He lets out a chuckle. I cross my arms, then turn and wait for the others without saying another word. Eventually, I produce a small grin. It seems like I finally have some friendly competition. Chapter 107. Ari and I stand about 10 m away from the lined-up wooden tables waiting for the rest of our team to make it out. The rippling light that seems to be Rodrigo's doing distorts the view of the dungeon at large. I want to see what we're up against, but it'll have to wait. The first to arrive is Maria. She appears out of thin air from the rippling illusion of light with a grin across her face still glowing blue. "You two finished before me again? Well, it was a fun fight anyways." She spins a serpent's fang on a long black string around her finger while walking over and standing next to me. The next to arrive is Nessa. Ari and Maria look very surprised as she walks over to us without a scratch on her. That stealth skill doesn't work so well when I can literally see trees being crushed to bits in front of my eyes. I don't know what I was so worried about. I laugh and give her a warm smile. "I guess you're right. It was pretty easy to track. I used other means to do so, but watching the plant life being crushed probably did the trick just fine." She grins and walks past me, whispering softly while giving a sly wink. "Thanks, Jay." Mere seconds later, the green-haired healer comes strutting towards us with a confident but serious look across her face. Now that one was a challenge. Abby lets out a sigh and eyes the tables behind us eagerly. She looks exhausted. Maria puts an arm around her shoulder and giggles. Let's go sit down and save a seat for the others. She looks up at me, then I give her a firm nod. Nessa follows as well, leaving Ari and me to wait for our final teammate. The tan-skinned archer turns to me. Did all of you come to the exams together? I chuckle. No, I only came here with Maria. He nods and doesn't reply. I continue. I knew Abby and Nessa prior to this test though. Bruce is the only new teammate. Plus you of course. Did you come here with anyone? He lets out a sigh. No, I came alone. I tighten my lips. Assumed so. We wait in silence for a moment longer. Then I speak up again. So, where are you from? Your home village, if you don't mind me asking. I hear an audible gulp as Ari turns to me. You're the strongest hunter I've met in this exam so far. And your team seems to trust you very much. Can I trust you too? He looks at me again with the same saddened stare from earlier. I nod firmly one time and look the hooded archer in the eyes. Sure, as long as I can trust you. He lets out a sign while whispering in a low voice. I grew up in the Dark Continent. I'm only here to find trusted allies and rise through the ranks of the Hunters Association. I'll do whatever it takes. By the end of his sentence, the tone became very serious, almost angry. I reply, understood. Well, I don't fully get why, but I understand you have your reasons. He nods and turns his head back towards the rippling light and grins slightly. It feels like a small weight has been lifted off his shoulders. I smile back and turn to wait for Bruce as well. Internally, my mind is moving rapidly trying to piece this new puzzle together. The Dark Continent is a lawless country that's mostly closed off to the rest of the world. It's known for having monsters roam free and is home to a variety of crime syndicates. That's what I've read in the newspaper at least. It is literally blocked off from all civilized society. About a decade ago, several of the A-class hunters teamed up to surround the quarantined area with what is now known as the Great Ravine. It's a massive kilometer-wide, endlessly deep hole in the ground that stretches hundreds of kilometers around the entire continent. This is used to keep dangerous monsters from escaping to any protected countries. This keeps many humans trapped there too. It's very uncommon to find anyone entering or leaving that place. Apparently, Ari grew up there. While deep in thought, the wall of rippling light in front of me starts to move and a grinning tank walks out with a shield by his side and a bloodied war hammer over his shoulder. Hey, I made it to the final round. I can't help smiling. Bruce always lightens the mood. We all made it. Glad to see you in one piece. He lets out a laugh and throws his hammer into the item box around his waist, then pats me hard on the shoulder. I'm starving. Let's sit down and get some grub. Haha, sounds good. I turn to Ari to give him a reassuring nod. Let's take a well-deserved break. The three of us walk over to the table that the girls prepared. They already have mountains of dried food and water bottles at the ready. MP and HP potions are lined up and a few items are being passed around. Abby is the first to wave us down with a face full of food. Hey! We all made it through. Come on. Have a seat. The six of us take a load off for the next 2 hours. We fill our stomachs, lay down for a bit, and make guesses about what this final test could possibly be. Every minute that goes by builds my excitement. This is the final test. It has to be hard. Right? Everyone that's made it this far is much stronger than any regular C-class hunter would ever have to be. Most of the C-classes I've met were well under level 300. This exam is different from the others. Rodrigo even said so, that the Hunters Association is testing for something specifically this time around. As I digest my food, as well as my wildly scattered thoughts, more and more hunters appear from the dungeon's entrance to sit at the various tables all around us. I hear the A-class examiner's voice wake me up from my daydreams. He's standing on top of one of the tables and attempting to get everyone's attention. Everyone, please listen up. Only 73 of you have arrived so far, and according to my monitors, there are some stragglers, but they may take hours to arrive. If they do, great, we have 27 more slots. If they don't, that's unfortunate. There's no time limit for this final test, so if we begin now, there's no huge advantage for all of you. The hunters begin gathering around and chattering softly to each other as Rodrigo continues. This is your final test and happens to be the final dungeon in this labyrinth. Well, there is the boss floor above us, but none of you are ready for that. A small grin appears across Rodrigo's face, and I see a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. This is the first time I've seen him show any signs of genuine emotion. He continues, "You may group up into teams of as many hunters as you wish. There is no hard limit. Your only objective is to clear the boss room." Together, the crowd of hunters erupts in confusion. Rodrigo slowly nods and continues. "As I said, this is the last dungeon floor. It will be a tough challenge, but not impossible. Plus, there will be a twist at the end. While in the boss room, I will be giving every hunter a personal handicap based on the data accumulated from my monitors. It will force you into difficult situations, relying on your trusted teammates to cover for the abilities you lack." Irritated whispers come out from the crowd. Rodrigo carries on. "I will personally be watching each and every one of your fights with this final boss. If you can take it out as a team following my handicap rules, you shall pass. If even one team member dies or breaks the rules, your whole team will be disqualified." "Understood." Nods and replies of agreement follow as Rodrigo counties to speak. "You may train for as long as you need, but considering you all made it this far, I assume you aren't the types to wait around. There will be no handicaps while training, so go all out. I encourage you to try out some unorthodox fighting methods in this dungeon. You may need the practice sooner than you think. I will be waiting at the boss room portal to run down the rules with you one last time and watch your final fight." He lets out a sigh. "I would appreciate it if you didn't kill each other on this floor, but I guess it's still not against the rules. Anyways, good luck. I'll see you at the boss room for your final test." With a smile, a flash of light blinds me and the bearded man disappears. The rippling light surrounding us dissipates and the full glory of the dungeon becomes very clear. Those tall red towering mountains of rock from before look like ant hills compared to the monstrous peak before my eyes. The jagged mountain of endless dark red stone pierces through the sky higher than my eyes can even see. Rivers of red-hot molten rock slowly gush down the sides of the towering structure. As it gets thinner and thinner, the higher it rises up into the jet-black sky. A few winding trails lead up the mountain. My eyes follow them upwards in awe. So this is the final dungeon. Chapter 108. Hunters all around us are separating into groups, readying their gear to climb the towering peak before us. I turn to my team and draw my sword. It crackles and flickers with flames waiting patiently for battle. Ready to do this? Bruce and Nessa lead the way. Abby and Maria follow close behind. Ari and I take the rear. About 24 hunters make the trek upwards before us in groups ranging from 3 to 6. I don't see any larger or smaller. A good amount of the exam participants stay back at the lined-up wooden tables to continue readying their weapons and potions, while others seem to be watching the entrance, nervously waiting for their fellow hunters to arrive. I point my sword in the air and let a wide grin appear across my face. Let's face this final dungeon. With that, we begin trekking forward. There's a flat trail about 5 m wide that twists and turns up the mountain. It's lined with a dark red jagged rock wall on both sides. There are occasional gaps every 50 m or so falling off into either massive pools of lava flowing in from above, or an endless ravine leading into an abyss further than I can even see. As soon as we leave the resting area, the temperature rises immediately. Beads of sweat start rolling down my forehead, but I'm more concentrated on examining the bizarre dungeon around me. The air gets thicker the higher we climb, and the sweat starts flowing more and more down the sides of my face. Now, it is starting to get annoying, but I'll manage. It's been about 20 minutes, and there's still no sign of any threats. I hear a yell from the front of the group. It's Nessa. "Hey, which way should we go?" The 6 of us come to a standstill lined up in a row. I cross my arms and look at the path in front of us split into 3 separate trails. I place my hand on my chin and think while activating enemy detection. I let the radius of my search stretch all the way to the end of the dungeon. It seems like the teams ahead of us all picked separate paths, and there are also enemies to fight on every one of them. I don't think there's a wrong decision here. I grin as a team of 4 high-level targets pops onto my radar closest to us on the right side. The teams ahead of us have been picking off all the monsters. These are new spawns. I think turning right would be our best bet for now. I point my sword down the twisting trail to the right. Ari shrugs while Abby and Maria nod in unison. Nessa turns to lead the way as Bruce lets out a laugh. Sounds good to me. We continue onward right toward the danger. I give them a warning. Keep your weapons at the ready. Our first fight could be around any corner. Plumes of steam and smoke rose from our left side, indicating a lava pool must have shifted or burned up some type of organic matter. Other than the crackle of fire from my sword, the only noise stimulating our senses are our own footsteps. We march forward for another 5 minutes or so. The trail in front of us begins to widen and turn slightly to the right side, then makes a sharp left, twisting around the backside of the mountain. This is the exact location of those high-level monsters I was sensing earlier. I let the dark red flames grow hotter and hotter on my sword as we begin to round the corner. I yell out to Bruce and Nessa up front. Get ready. There's something up ahead. Nessa points her sword forward, while Bruce positions his shield to block any surprise attacks. Maria and Abby glow blue and green. A light hint of steam starts to come off of Maria's feet as some of her ice magic boils the moment it touches the dungeon's floor. Ari takes out his bow and scans the area. I continue walking forward, tracking the monsters ahead with my enemy detection and inspect skills. 75M. LV. 320. LV. 320. LV. 320. LV. 320. Cautiously, we all make our way around the bending pathway upwards. 50M. A section of flatter ground extends the path even wider, creating a very open area. There are half a dozen large, sharp pillars of rock scattered around that look like stalagmites growing up from the floor. Yet, there's no cave ceiling, just an endless black sky. We all stand still in silence for a moment, taking in the view. Then a loud roar followed by the clanging of hard metal on rock echoes throughout our eardrums. For hideous beasts appear from behind various rock structures and lock eyes on us. They're humanoid creatures, and seem to be a meter or two taller than me at most. I smirk and use appraisal on the one running straight at me while it glows golden yellow. LV. 320. Active items. High Ogre Steel Sword plus 350 Strength. High Ogre Steel Shield plus 400 Defense. High Ogre Armor Set plus 500 Defense. High Ogre Ring plus 50% Mental Strength. Active Skills. Extreme Strength. Buffs. Extreme Strength plus 50% Strength. High Ogre's Resistance plus 60% Magic Resistance. Body Raised in Fire plus 60% Extra Fire Resistance. I burst into flames, activating my Berserker and Bloodlust skills while calling out to the others. Split up, be careful, and only take shots you're sure you can hit. These are some heavy-duty tanks. Slow movers. But one hit from them could take us out for good. I run forward at the approaching High Ogre. It stands about 3M tall, but it's packed with dense muscle mass. I can feel the deadly aura emanating off it from over 20m away. The monster's skin is a similar color to the rocks all around us. Dark red. The shiny metal armor covers its chest, shoulders, wrists, and groin area. In the beast's left hand there's a large steel shield, and held steady in the right is a long silver sword. The High Ogre's eyes burn red with anger, and its sharp yellow-white teeth stick out from its bottom jaw. The monster's frame is much slimmer than that of a hulking tank, but its gear suggests it's a defense type. Those buffs say so too. The golden glimmer of its extreme strength buff reflects off my eyes as I eagerly approach it. That skill is soon to be mine. Suddenly, Ari darts off to my right side towards an ogre of his own to face off. Without a hint of hesitation, he runs at it with a glowing white arrow at the ready. Maria and Abby begin charging at a monster of their own. The blonde-haired mage leaves a trail of ice behind her that erupts into steam melting seconds later. The green-haired healer shakes the ground as she summons 2 large spears of stone by her side. Lastly, Bruce and Nessa sprint off to the far left to take on the final High Ogre. It lets out a roar glowing bright golden yellow. I watch Bruce ready his shield and swing the massive hammer around in the air. Nessa glows with the same golden aura as the monster in front of her. It looks like she's testing out that strength buff for herself. I grin, knowing my team can handle themselves and face off against my newest opponent. The High Ogre locks eyes with me and darts forward with impressive speed. I airstep forward, kicking off a dense pocket of wind magic to boost my speed for our first clash. We rocket at each other as my blade burns bright red while letting out a wave of intimidation. The ogre roars and lifts its shield while swinging its sword downwards at me. I grit my teeth and let my blade whistle through the air at my opponent as well. Clang! A deafening clash echoes through the battlefield as our match begins. My vision tunnels and all I see is the monster before me. I grin ear to ear as I push my sword forward, slowly overpowering the beast. It lets out a loud grunt. Realizing it's in a troublesome situation, the High Ogre twists its body with incredible precision, letting my blade crash against its shield. Another metal-on-metal clang rings out as the beast jumps backward to stare me down once again. It grins at me, showing off even more of its disgusting jagged teeth, then charges forward. I do the same. This time around, I'll have to try another method. The straight-on brute force attack won't be so easy. Its defenses are high and its battle technique is rather intelligent. I have to throw it off its guard. I smirk and fly at the beast with my flaming sword raised high above my head. About 3 m before impact, I kick off the air with my right foot, making a 90-degree turn in the air. This is to position myself on the far side of its shield. The monster shrieks and swings its sword as a last resort defensive measure while twisting its body to attempt to block. I reach into my item box to take out a single dagger in my left hand. My item limit has been hit, so no extra stats are added, but it'll still suffice for the time being. The High Ogre brings its sword downward as I lift my new black shining blade up to hit it. Clang! I block its oncoming attack above my head as it continues to turn its shield to try and cover its open midsection. I grin and thrust my fiery sword into the abdomen of the beast as it struggles with my dagger. The monster lets out a roar as blood spurts from its wound. It slams its shield against my long blade fractions of a second later, knocking it loose, but the damage has already been done. I see a shift in the ogre's eyes as it jumps backward again. Fear fills those glowing red eyes as it takes in the actual strength of its opponent. The monster freezes for a second, then snaps out of it and snarls again, shining with that same golden light, showing me its crooked smile. I smirk and let the black dagger rest by my left side, as I point my sword forward, getting used to this new fighting style. The combination of my swordsmanship and dagger mastery skills makes it feel oddly natural. Our duel has just begun. Chapter 109. The red-skinned, golden-glowing High Ogre stares me down 5 m away at most. I can smell its breath from here. The grip on my left hand's dagger tightens as my sword glows red-hot in the other. We analyze each other for another couple of seconds, then simultaneously charge forward, aiming our blades at the other for a kill shot. Clang! The monster learned its lesson from our last clash. My sword collides with its shield as my dagger blocks the long silver sword. Scraping metal noises fill my ears as I push the beast forward. Sparks fly, but the creature grunts and jumps back before I can manage to land an attack. Blood still drips from its abdomen from my earlier hit. I watch the heavy-breathing monster analyze my stance and come charging at me again. I run forward as well, thinking of ways to switch things up this time around. Moments before impact, I airstep using my right foot, turning 90 degrees mid-lunge, mimicking the movements of my first successful attack. The monster's eyes track my change in direction, and it counters with its shield, painfully remembering its previously failed attempt. I grin, then airstep again with my left foot, launching me about 4 m in the air just above my opponent's head. It lets out a grunt and shifts its shield in confusion while craning its neck to follow my flight path. I throw my dagger straight ahead as I fly over the beast. It continues to lift its shield and watch me from above as I abruptly shift the dagger's trajectory using telekinesis. The High Ogre's eyes are open wide with fear once again as it stares at me from below. A shining black blade flies toward its open neck. I create a dense pocket of wind magic above me, then push myself down with a red-hot glowing sword at the ready. It raises its shield while simultaneously being stabbed in the neck by my surprise dagger. I created the perfect distraction. Clang. The massive hulking ogre lets out a roar as blood spurts from its neck and my blade hits its shield. Its long silver weapon attempts a swing at me, but I twist my body out of the way while controlling my telekinesis to push the dagger deeper and deeper. I let out a laugh as I stand 3 m away from the rage-filled, blood-soaked monster. With an outstretched left hand, I pull my blade from the beast's neck, tearing away even more flesh. It flies through the air back into my grip, covered in a thick crimson liquid. The gold-glowing ogre is a tough one. I've got to give it that. Even with my insane stack of buffs, it can still take 2 good hits from me and almost rival my strength. I hear its blood gurgle in the back of its throat as the beast breathes heavily and grunts while continuing to stare me down. The high ogre runs forward again, holding its blade steady and its shield held high, covering its wounded areas. It's a much more defensive attack strategy, but there's no other way for it to win this brawl otherwise. I look up at the charging monster and whip my dagger at it using telekinesis while covering the blade in a dense layer of wind magic. I use this quick moment before our collision to take a deep breath in through my nose, then exhale through my mouth. I concentrate a steady flow of mana into my long sword, allowing it to glow bright red. Dark flames and dense swirls of wind magic engulf my sword, growing hotter and hotter as they fuel each other, draining me almost completely dry of my entire mana supply. I raise my blade high up above my head while watching the shiny black dagger whistle through the air at the monster ahead. The light clash of metal on metal followed by the scraping sound of my dagger against its sword is my sign to strike. Now all I have to do is finish this battle in a single blow. With a yell, I bring my blade downwards, releasing all the energy built up inside. A demonic-looking dark red crescent of flames covered in a sharp white aura of wind emerges from my sword and rockets at the monster in front of me. I watch in awe as the high ogre struggles to keep my dagger at bay while lifting its shield to block the incoming deadly strike. The beast attempts to move its sword to block the incoming wave, but my dagger slides downward, threatening its neck, keeping the long blade occupied. On impact, the dense wind energy cracks its shield instantly, splintering metal fragments off in all directions. An echoing roar fills the air as the wind blade filled with dark fire slices through the ogre's heavy chest plate as well. The beast is thrown backward as it takes the full force attack head-on. I was expecting it to slice clean through, but my eyes widen as I watch the beast dig its feet into the ground while being pushed back over 10 m. The high ogre cries out and struggles in agony until it finally twists its body out of the way. Shing! The dark crescent of energy slices off its arm at the shoulder before arcing upwards and disappearing into the wide-open black sky. I grin and reach into my item storage to pull out a few mana crystals, plundering their MP. Thud. The smile leaves my face slowly as the dust settles and I watch the mutilated body of a flaming ogre drop to its knees. The slash took off about a full third of its left side. Arm, shoulder, and all. The beast's armor and shield are destroyed beyond use. It's losing blood at an alarming rate and cannot continue. I sigh and walk over to my defeated opponent. It glares at me, coughing up more blood and readying its blade with its good arm. I nod slowly. I commend you for your resolve, but this is the end. With a flick of my left wrist, I use telekinesis to summon my fallen dagger. It flies through the air and lands directly into the high ogre's neck. The monster's eyes become cold and its sword falls to the hard ground. Level up. Level up. Use absorption. Skill, extreme strength. Yes. No. I smirk and choose yes while taking the dagger out of my former opponent's neck and placing it into my item storage. Status open. Name, J. Soj. Level 307. HP. 1540/1540. MP. 1535/1540. Strength. 744. Plus 662. Speed. 886. Plus 532. Plus 260. Agility. 916. Plus 412. Defense. 664, plus 258, plus 232. Mental strength, 744, plus 149, plus 365, plus 298, plus 335. Skills, absorption, swordsmanship, combat magic, fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, spatial magic, item storage, plunder, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, dungeon walker, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, items equipped, golden wolf ring, plus 20% mental strength, cyclops eye pendant, plus 40% defense, dark elf boots, plus 60% speed, the flame emperor's sword, fire aspect, plus 89% strength, plus 49% mental strength, ring of protection, plus 35% defense, griffin's talon, plus 40% mental strength, enchanted silver ring, plus 30% speed, serpent king's scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, desert troll's charm, plus 45% mental strength, Rodrigo's silver bracelet. I look around as the adrenaline from my battle begins to wear off. To my right side, Ari stands about 20 m away with his arms crossed, examining the corpse of his fallen creature with 3 white glowing arrows sticking out of its forehead. I grin, then turn to my left. Abby and Maria are about 30 m ahead, still battling with their high ogre. Steam fills the air as Maria creates walls of ice to block while making smoke screens for Abby to attack it blind. Abby does the same once the steam cloud clears. She creates half a dozen spears of stone to keep the creature occupied while Maria attacks head-on. They're both much quicker than the ogre. Each attack slices away at the monster's thick flesh. In time, they will win. I nod slowly while turning to see Bruce and Nessa handling a beast of their own. Bruce is holding off the ogre shield to shield and sword to hammer. They both grit their teeth and let out battle cries. This is a battle of the tanks, I like it. Nessa darts around in circles, landing cheap shots while glowing with the same golden light as her opponent. Bruce has the natural strength and defense to hold it off, while Nessa is much faster and better at landing guaranteed hits. They have this battle in the bag as well, we'll just have to wait it out. I smile and watch my teammates fight as my monster dissolves next to me, dropping a large mana crystal at my feet. I pick it up to place it in my item box as I hear Ares' voice from behind me. These ogres aren't bad. Rodrigo was right. This dungeon may have a quite difficult boss. I turn to see the tan-skinned archer grinning while watching our teammates duke it out with the ogres. Yeah, that was a pretty good fight. It stood no chance, but still, it wasn't boring. Yes. I watched the end of your duel. It was definitely not boring. Ari nods slowly while staring forward. I do the same. Gold, green, and blue lights flash before my eyes as the battles continue. Chapter 110. After a few minutes, the 2 high ogres my teammates were fighting fall to their knees and face defeat. One stands skewered by countless spears of stone, while the other is beaten and mutilated by a hammer and sword. Although it took both teams of 2 close to a dozen hits each to defeat their opponents, the fact that we can all take down level 320 monsters is an impressive feat. I can't help smiling with happiness knowing my allies are growing stronger by my side. It really wasn't that long ago that I brought Maria to her awakening exam and she discovered her ice summoning ability. Now look at her, less than 2 months later, and she's defeating C-class monsters. I continue to grin, admiring their success, as the corpses slowly dissolve, dropping large mana crystals on the floor. The 4 of them walk over to Ari and me soon after while drinking MP potions to get ready for future battles. We briefly talk about our fights and share tactics about the ogre's unique shield and sword movements. With a round of head nods, We got back into our simple formation and carried on following the winding path upwards. Over the next hour and a half, we spiraled up the tall mountain one high-orge battle at a time. There were 4 more groups we faced off against. Each time we'd split the monsters up naturally according to our growing abilities. I fought one battle with Nessa and another with Abby. The other 2 were solo brawls. I felt it was necessary for us all to switch around partners if we were going to fight as a team against the boss. So Ari fought with Maria and Bruce one time each as well. Our chemistry is okay. But it could be better. We're all pretty overpowered. Our gear and skill sets make these battles pretty simple. The more we fight, the easier it is to predict the ogre's movements. All new spawns are exactly the same. We as hunters learn more every battle, while they stay stagnant. Level up, level up, level up, level up. I gained 4 levels in total, bringing me to level 311. It still takes 3 solid hits to take one of these ogres out, but it is much less difficult than my first fight. The air continues to get thicker and thicker. Not only do the steam and smoke from the lava pools around us make it hard to breathe, but the mana levels in the air up here also create an odd sensation similar to a dungeon break. All of the previous 3 diverted paths have connected as one about halfway up the climb. We've circled around the mountain 6 full times now and are definitely nearing the top. Sweat covers my arms and slides down the sides of my face. Every few steps, droplets fall to the ground, creating a sharp hissing noise as they evaporate on contact with the hot red rocks below. All 6 of us are breathing heavily, but honestly, it's more of a workout than an actual painful experience. The hot air may be a little uncomfortable, but I'm almost used to it by now. It's like we're walking through a massive sauna. Nessa's voice rings out from ahead. Hey, guys, I think I see it. I think we made it to the top. Our orderly rhythmic footsteps come to a halt as we round the final bend. A crowd of hunters waits patiently in a line directly in front of the large light gray circle of energy. I count 3 teams in total. None of them look too familiar, but they're all stacked with impressive gear and have made it this far as well. They must be excellent hunters. A flash of white light appears in front of the portal as we get in line behind another group. Rodrigo returns with a team of 3 other hunters. He nods to them with a thin smile. They exchange a few words that I can't make out from here. Then another flash of light blinds me. The 3 of them are gone. Did they pass the exam? Or not? Ari speaks up from behind me. That's what I'm wondering. Maria turns around and smiles at me eagerly. We're so close.
I'm excited, Jay.
I'm really excited. She's jumping up and down, grinning ear to ear. I smile and nod while looking forward to see what exactly is happening at the front of the line. Me too, me too. Rodrigo begins pointing to each of the team members in the next group, telling them something that visibly surprises each member. Then they all jumps through the portal together to face the boss. The line moves forward and we wait in silence. Another 10 minutes pass and the same white light appears. This time, only one hunter comes out with Rodrigo. The remaining team member is covered in near-fatal wounds. Rodrigo speaks a few inaudible words. Then that light flashes and the hunter disappears. I gulp while watching the next team go through the exact same process while entering the portal. We all step forward in line, then wait another 10 minutes or so before the full team returns with the examiner. A flash of light later and the final group in front of us enters the portal. During all of this, 2 other groups got into line behind us. It seems like pretty much everyone that made it to this floor is very capable. Moments later, the white light flashes, and only Rodrigo comes out of the portal. He shakes his head back and forth slowly. Well, that was unfortunate. He walks over to us with a long sigh. You 6 are up next? Let's see here. He sticks his hand into the left pocket of his suit and pulls out a small white piece of paper. All right, first things first, do you all remember the rules? You must defeat this final boss together as a team. I will be giving each of you a handicap, and if even one of you fails this trial, all of you fail as well. We all look at each other and nod without saying a word. Rodrigo continues while looking down at the small sheet of paper. So, first we'll start with Nessa. Apparently, you can mimic skills and you're an impressive sword wielder. So, you're only allowed to mimic the boss skill. She smirks. This will be easy, Tej. And you can't use your sword either. She stops to think for a moment, then nods firmly one time while putting her sword into her item box. If that's your rule, I'll comply. Rodrigo turns to Bruce. The tank of the group, Bruce, am I correct? He nods. No shield for you during this battle. You'll have to either rely on an offensive fighting style or find other ways to block. Bruce grins, putting away his shield and swinging his hammer up onto his shoulder. Sound good to me. The examiner faces Abby. Hello, Abby. I've heard good things about you. I wouldn't have expected a member from the association to team with a group of randoms. Abby rolls her eyes. Nice to meet you too. Rodrigo grins, then continues. You'll have to change up your style. No earth magic is allowed. You must become your team's healer, or finding another weapon to wield if you'd like to deal any damage. Abby gulps, then nods. I'll make do. He nods back. Maria, you have some incredibly impressive ice magic. It is not allowed during this battle. Her eyes widen. I'm sure she saw this coming, but I guess it would still be a shock. Maria's magic is her only overpowered quality. Taking that away will make for a pretty difficult fight. She nods slowly. Understood. Rodrigo eyes Ari and me. You two are an interesting couple. He looks down at the small sheet of paper, then back up at us. You know, both of you are in the top 10 for most hunters killed during this exam. We both look at each other, then back at Rodrigo as he continues. And I mean killed, not just sent back to the spawn point, literally killed. We both face forward and give simultaneous shrugs. Then I speak up. You did say that wasn't against the rules. The tall man toughens his lips, sighs, then speaks up again. Anyways, Ari, you can't use your bow or archer skill. Jay, any use of fire is not allowed. Ari nods, placing his bow into his item box while taking out a pair of daggers. I pause for a moment, then look down at my sword. I lift it in the air to show Rodrigo. It flickers with fire residue. So, this is a sword fused with a fire stone. If I concentrate any amount of mana into the blade, it produces flames. Technically, they're not mine. Could I dash?
No.
No use of flames is allowed. I frown slightly while putting away my sword, then take out a pair of my own black shining daggers. These will do. Rodrigo eyes them curiously for a moment, then turns around to face the portal. Very well, follow me. Your final test begins now. The tall man wearing a well-fitted red suit walks forward through the fluctuating mass of energy in front of us. I grin and speak up. Let's do this. It's time to finally become C-class hunters. The 6 of us follow close behind, stepping through the portal one by one. Chapter 111. I'm hit with an extreme wave of humidity and heat. The air is overwhelmingly thick with mana and steam. It's hard to breathe or see clearly further than 10-15 m ahead of me. I grit my teeth and attempt to take a deep breath in through my nose. The dank stench of sulfur fills my lungs as I look around to take in the view with squinted eyes while gripping both of my daggers tightly. This is the boss room. Hard red rock stretches out underneath us in all directions for about 100 m on every side. There are cracks in the floor, gushing lava with plumes of smoke rising high up into the jet black sky. The ground is very flat, but there are many obstacles in our way. Complementing the occasional pools of lava, there are pillars of jagged stone and massive boulders strewn about. I immediately activate enemy detection and inspect to locate any incoming threats. The low hissing sound of the slow-flowing lava fills my ears as I focus on the numbers popping up in my mind's eye. 100 m, LV. 356. 50 m, LV. 334. LV. 332. 20 m, LV. 320. LV. 320. LV. 320. LV. 320. The ground starts to rumble and I yell out to my team. Everyone, we've got 4 monsters incoming. They won't be hard, But we need to get rid of them fast. I watch Rodrigo jump backward on top of a high pillar of stone. It appears he'll be surveying us from above. Bruce springs into action the moment words leave my mouth. Nessa and Maria, I'll defend with my hammer. You two concentrate on landing hits. Abby, be our support from behind. He gives me a firm nod. Then the girls follow him close behind. I reply, you take out two of them, Ari, and I can handle the others. With that, we were off. The six of us sprint forward into the white cloud of smoke, griping our weapons and getting ready for war. The faint sounds of grunts and shrieks slowly become louder and louder until 4 3-meter-tall red-skinned ogres come into view. They charge at us with their shields steady and swords held high. I grit my teeth and look over to Ari, then turn to the 2 ogres nearest to us. We both jump into action, readying our blades and sprinting off to the right side to face our opponents. I use my wind magic to give myself a boost, kicking off the air every step of the way. As I approach my selected charging red-skinned beast, I go to activate my stat-boosting skills but hesitate for a moment. I take a look at the monster I'm about to fight, then weigh the pros and cons of using my previously hidden abilities. Most people in this boss room already know I'm a multi-skill user. When it comes to Maria, Nessa, Abby, or even Bruce, I'd be happy to let them in on my secret if they asked. I don't mind Ari knowing I have a few extra tricks up my sleeve either, but I'd still like to get to know him better. The only one I'm truly worried about is Rodrigo, and well, the association as a whole. I let out a frustrated grunt as I come within 5 m of the charging high ogre in front of me. I can smell its breath and see the monstrous range built up in its eyes. My frustration grows into a yell as we collide. Clang. My left dagger meets its long blade, and my right bounces off its shield. I struggle against the beast in front of me, totally catches me off guard. My heart drops for a moment, fully realizing my old sword's buff added 89% strength. My daggers only add 300 strength. That may not be enough. I'm used to fighting with much more, plus my berserker skill gives me an additional 50% on top of everything else. The long silver sword pushing down on my dagger begins to inch closer and closer to me as the beast overpowers me in my weakened state. The scraping sound of metal on metal fills my ears as I watch my grip begin to slip on its sword, creating sparks. The beast lets out a roar, and I copy it, letting out a yell of my own. There's no way I'll be able to defeat any stronger opponents ahead of me without going all out. I've made my decision. I'll use all my skills. I stare the high ogre in the eyes and activate my berserker, bloodlust, and newly acquired extreme strength skills. A dark red aura emanates from my body, followed by a golden glow. The 3 abilities begin to mix as I'm filled with immense strength and other various magic buffs. The red-skinned beast's eyes widen as I lift my dagger, throwing its blade backward, instantly overpowering the vile creature. In this moment, it attempts to dart away, but I lock eyes on my prey and follow it ruthlessly, aiming to kill. I concentrate and cover both my blades with an invisible layer of dense wind magic, then let out a wave of intimidation to stop it in its tracks. The monster before me is helpless. The confident, angry stare in its eyes disappears as I run circles around it. A shining black blade pierces its neck as well as one in the abdomen through a gap in its armor. I jump back using telekinesis to ensure deep cuts, then retrieve my blades by summoning them back to me from over 4 m away. Blood gushes from its vital areas, but it still stands tall. Breathing heavily, with a look of defeat plastered across its face, the monster charges in again. I have to give it to these high ogres, they don't give up easily. I smirk and airstep above the now rugged-looking beast. With a swift toss of my blades, using telekinesis to ensure a perfect shot, the disoriented ogre receives 2 knives to the neck and falls to its knees as my wind magic decapitates it on the spot. Thud. I turn around to see Ari finishing off his monster with great speed and precision as well. It takes him about 6 hits in total. I guess he is quite a lot weaker when he doesn't use that legendary skill. The other 4 members are in a tough battle of their own. I would jump in and help, but it seems greater trouble is nearby. Stomping sounds ring out as the next wave appears right on schedule. I yell out to my team, Ari, let's fight these new ones together. The boss will be here soon. We lock eyes, then turn to the large clouds of steam as two towering high ogres emerge. They have much darker skin, stand close to 4 m tall, and seem to have slightly upgraded swords and shields. I grit my teeth. Mutants. The dark red monster to our right side begins charging at Ari. Its partner plants its sword into the solid rock ground, letting out a grunt and crossing its arms to watch the battle play out. It seems rather confident. The charging ogre approaches quickly, so I dart over to Ari's side to assist. I take the beast's left, while Ari takes the right. Metal on metal rings throughout the boss room as the mutant surprisingly blocks both of our attacks with abnormally agile movements. I use appraisal, but nothing seems to be any different than the normal high ogres. The only logical explanation here is a mutated increase in agility or speed. Its eyes are calm and track both of our movements with ease. This monster seems to be highly intelligent as well. My blades slide down the monster's sword. I air step and spin around its backside at neck level while Ari drops to the floor, distracting it from the front. With a swift double overhand throw, I release both my daggers with wind magic and telekinesis, increasing their velocity as they travel toward the back of the creature's neck. Clang. My blades hit the flat side of this monster's blade. It managed to toss its own sword from an underhanded position upwards, spinning perfectly in the air to deflect my attack. I stare wide-eyed in surprise, then smirk and let out a laugh while bringing my blades back to my hands. Now that was a neat trick. Not bad for a dash. It cuts me off with a roar, turning to me, showing eyes filled with fury. It seems it's time to get serious. I land on the ground on both feet with a thud. Ari and I stand on opposite sides of the mutant, searching for an opening. The monster catches its sword by the handle and begins sprinting forward to get us away from its blind spots. Ari darts in and I do the same. I got lucky at first, but I won't be caught off guard so easily this time around. With a few air steps, I manage to make it up to eye level with the beast once again. With another swift double overhand throw, I toss my two blades at the monster's neck from two separate directions. The sharp black daggers curve through the air on both sides of the monster as Ari attacks from below. It lets out an overwhelming roar while lowering its shield to block Ari's incoming lunge and raising its sword to deflect one of my blades. That's right, one of them. The massive red-skinned beast lets out another ear-piercing fit of rage as one of my wind-covered blades slides through its neck, leaving a nasty wound. Blood spurts out as it turns to me, showing all of its sharp, jagged teeth. I air-step back with a grin as it mindlessly follows me with rage-filled eyes. I guess the previous guess that these mutants were highly intelligent wasn't wrong, but definitely an overestimation on my part. They succumb to their emotions very easily. They are tough, though. My daggers fly back into my hands and I stare at the wound I just dealt. Maybe 15% of its health at best. This beast is going to take at least 6 or 7 hits to fully subjugate. The monster lets out another roar as Ari leaves 2 deep cuts across its left leg with both daggers. Red-crimson liquid pours out of the deep wounds and he darts off to let me go in for another attack. I grip both my blades and air-step forward to face the mutant again. Its sword collides with both my daggers and we stand perfectly still as sparks fly up in the air. Bruce, Abby, Nessa, and Maria finish handling their 2 high ogres and begin running over to help. The mutant that was standing by before lifts its sword in the air and points it at the 4 of them. I concentrate on my battle, but I believe in my team they can handle it. Thudded, thudded, thudded. I stare forward at the mutant clashing metal with me, but can't help but notice the fog change color behind it. The white steam turns blood red. Plus, the approaching heavy, ominous footsteps. That's never a good sign. I grit my teeth and use a dense pocket of wind beneath my feet and around my blades to push the monster's sword upwards with immense force. In doing so, this leaves an opening for Ari to land a double dagger strike to its right leg. I fall back to the ground as the mutant steadies itself as well while roaring in pain. Thudded, thudded, thudded. I look up at my opponent with Ari no more than 5 m to my side. The thudding footsteps keep approaching, and the plumes of steam shine redder and redder. I gulp. The outline of an enormous towering ogre appears directly behind the one we're fighting. It's easily 6 m tall. Thudded, Thudded. Thudded. It emerges from the back of the dungeon and announces its arrival with a roar that could shatter eardrums. The giant monster before us has dark red skin that almost appears to be black. 2 massive white horns emerge from the sides of its head, and 2 more even longer curl out of its back upwards to create natural armor. It wears a golden chest plate, wrist guards, codpiece, and boots that match. To top it all off, this monster wields 2 long swords. Each of them shimmers in the light, showing off its pure silver color with golden accents down each of the sides. The boss lets out another roar, then bursts its blades into a fiery display. I gasp and stare. A wide grin appears across my face as I activate appraisal. LV 356. Active items. High Ogre King's Sword plus 50% strength. High Ogre King's Sword plus 50% strength. High Ogre King's Armor Set plus 700 defense plus 300 speed plus 300 agility. High Ogre King's Ring plus 60% mental strength. High Ogre King's Pendant plus 60% mental strength. Active skills. Dual wielding special grade. Combat magic. Fire summoning. Buffs. High Ogre King's Resistance plus 70% magic resistance. King's Body raised in fire plus 70% extra fire resistance. Our final boss battle has really begun. Chapter 112. I lock eyes with the gigantic High Ogre King. The monster's silver and gold blades shine bright as the monster erupts its entire body into a ball of flames. This beast is using all my tricks, and I can't even use fire to fight back. Ares' voice calls out from beside me. Jay, focus. Clang. Upon hearing my teammates yell, I lift my daggers above my head to block the incoming blade of the mutant we'd previously been fighting. I'm still glowing with a radiant golden crimson aura. I reply to Ari while letting out a grunt and slashing upwards with wind magic to deflect the monster's sword. Let's take out this mutant quickly so we can focus on the boss. He nods firmly and darts in as our immediate enemy loses its balance from my powerful thrust. I take aim and whip both my daggers at its head while the beast regains its balance. With a rude snarl, the red-skinned mutant blocks one of my daggers with a swift movement of its blade. Ari runs in from below as my second shining dagger narrowly curves around the sharp edge of its sword. I smirk while sinking a lone dagger into its neck, ripping through flesh and drawing blood using telekinesis from a distance. The monster is getting double-teamed. Its cool and calm facade from earlier begins to break down the more attacks we land. The monster lets out a painful roar, leaning backward, giving Ari just enough room to sink both of his own daggers deep in its back. Blood spurts all around us as the ominous thudding noises of the enormous boss approach. It's less than 10 m away and charging in quickly with 2 blades ready to kill. I twist my head back and forth to make sure I won't be ambushed, then yell at the top of my lungs. Ari, cover me and stall the boss for 10 seconds. I'll end this mutant. Again, he firmly nods and plants his feet, changing directions to face the boss without hesitation. I reach into my item box and replace one of my daggers with an HP potion, then stare down the mutant as it readies its sword and adjusts its shield. The monster is dripping blood from head to toe, covered in deep wounds, but still standing proudly. It won't give up until its HP hits 0. Luckily, I know just how to make that happen. Stealth. In an instant, I disappear from the mutant's sight. It blinks rapidly, then begins turning its head back and forth while glowing with its golden strength buff. The moment I turn invisible, I dart around it, making virtually no noise at all. In the confusion, I devise a perfect plan. It begins swinging its sword and roaring loudly while stomping its feet, trying to find me by any means. The king is quickly approaching, and it needs to complete its job as a boss room guard. I grin as I make my way to its backside and jump in the air, piercing its spine with one of my daggers deep enough that my entire fist makes contact with its skin. Equivalent exchange. I input 1500 damage and brace for impact. The white light appears all around my body, along with the sensation of 1,000 tiny swords piercing me over and over. I grit my teeth and immediately bring the HP portion to my lips, rejuvenating most of my health. The monster before me shrieks out in agony as the life force gets stripped away from it by force. Thud. It falls to its knees in front of me, and I immediately take out my dagger from its back to cover it in a thick layer of wind magic striking its neck. Level up. Decapitation may be overkill, but I want to make sure the job is completely done. I stand over my defeated opponent breathing heavily while retrieving my second dagger and deactivating stealth. It's time to fight the actual boss now. Clang. I look up to see Ahri jumping at the massive High Ogre King with no fear. His daggers collide with one of the monster's swords, and he's pushed backward like a rag doll. Although the beast is overpowering him, he's swiftly maneuvering his body to avoid the long shining blades, distracting it just like I asked. I begin to run over and call out to him as he eyes down the behemoth. Finished. Let's do this. My eyes track the shining silver long swords as the boss elegantly swings them both at us. Its left hand is about a meter above its right, swinging the twin swords horizontally across its body, leaving trails of fire in their wake. I watch Ahri dart to its right side, so I sprint to the left. We have to divide and conquer. The enormous monster lets out another roar, stepping backward and pointing its blades to both of its sides. With the fiery swords, its wingspan is close to 10 m and the heat coming off it is very intense. It's going to be hard to get in close. We go in for an attack anyways, it's now or ever. I grit my teeth and air step forward, throwing myself at the monster while covering my blades with sharp layers of wind. The monster's swords elegantly glide in the air. The control and precision of this hideous monster's blades is oddly beautiful. I get serious and begin zigzagging in the air, narrowly avoiding its fire-covered sword. Time seems like it's slowing down as I rocket through the air, aiming my daggers at the monster's open neck. I let out a yell as its blade whistles through the air back at me again. I manage to twist my body while pushing upwards with a large gust of wind to miss getting sliced by mere centimeters. I smirk and keep launching myself forward, inching closer and closer to the beast's wide-open neck. By the time its blade comes back to attack me a third time, I'm less than a meter away. This is it. I tighten the grip on both my blades as I see Ahri occupying the monster from below. Both of its blades are completely out of range. This is a definite hit. My grin continues to widen as I fall closer to its neck, concentrating more and more magic around my blades for a deadly attack. I see its right eye turn to me, then its entire body bursts into much hotter flames. I'm used to the heat. A few burns don't bother me. I continue falling in without hesitation. The monster makes a sharp turn, twisting the bone-white meter-long horns protruding from its back straight at me. As soon as I realize what's happening, I activate a layer of body hardening. But too late, and my defenses are too weak. My eyes open wide and I cough out a mouthful of blood while black crystal's fragments shatter into the air. One of the sharp bones on its back pierces the right side of my chest, ripping through flesh and sending me flying towards the ground at a ridiculous speed. I let out an angry yell, watching my HP drop close to 1,000 points in a single blow. Moments before hitting the ground, I create a pocket of wind to soften my fall, but still hit the hard red rock with a thud. I look up at the beast with a furious stare, letting out a wave of intimidation. It doesn't do much. The boss continues toying with Ahri, sending him flying back with a swing of its left hand's blade. Ahri's only advantage is speed and agility. That's how he's able to avoid its sword swings from a distance. I wonder if he'd be as helpless as I was up close. I dart around the monster's backside for a moment, looking at the blood-stained mass of bone sticking out from right below its neck. It was way too reckless of me to jump in without accounting for those. A monster this strong wouldn't leave itself wide open like that on the first attack. While reaching into my item box to drink an HP potion, I use self-regeneration to heal my chest and rethink my entire battle plan. Stealth. I shake my head and get back into battle mode while completely disappearing from the monster's view. I'm able to sense stealth users at lower levels than myself, so I'll have to assume it can sense me a little bit too. I take a deep breath in and out, then charge forward again. Once in range, I jump up, simulating my last attack. Ahri clashes daggers with its long blade as I soar in at its neck with an identical trajectory to my last failure of an attack. The High Ogre King naturally thrusts its blade upwards, but I avoid it with ease. With another subtle air step to get back on course, I throw myself at the beast's open neck once again. The monster's right eye shifts to meet my exact flight path as it ignites its body into flames. I continue falling into its trap, but it doesn't realize it's falling into mine. I grin watching its shoulder begin to twist, then activate my skill. Dungeon Walker. A dark portal appears in front of me as the beast spins its body attempting to skewer me straight through. With milliseconds to spare, I fall through my warp portal, and its sharp mass of bone whistles through the air without making contact. Instantly, I force a portal open on the other side of its head about a meter above and come flying out with my blades ready to kill. The beast lets out the most horrendous noise as I plant both my daggers into its neck, reinforced by wind magic ripping its tough flesh to shreds. Its crimson liquid covers me as I dig deeper and deeper until it whips me off with a violent twist of its body. I airstep away before hitting the ground and avoiding its flailing blades as it continues to cry out in pain. 2 bloody gashes remain on its neck. It's nowhere close to a fatal wound, but it's a damn good start. Ari is less than 10 away from me. I deactivate my stealth skill and let out a laugh. That worked, that actually worked. Haha, it's mad now. But we can beat this thing. It's not invincible. Ari smirks at me while breathing heavily, whipping sweat from his forehead. You continue to surprise me, Jay. I'll keep it busy as best I can. You'll be our damage dealer. There's no way I can get in that close with its dash. Ari is cut off by the murderous roar and heavy stomping charge of the bloodied High Ogre King. Both of us grip our daggers and ready ourselves without another thought. This is going to be a battle to remember. Jay's status. End of chapter 112. Name Jay Soju. Level 312. HP 1360/1565.
Mepe 1035, 1565.
Strength 757 plus 300. Speed 901 plus 541 plus 270. Agility 931 plus 419 plus 300. Defense 675 plus 270 plus 236. Mental strength 757 plus 151 plus 302 plus 341. Skills: absorption, swordsmanship, combat magic, fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, spatial magic, item storage, plunder, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, berserker, dungeon walker, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, items equipped, golden wolf ring, plus 20% mental strength, cyclops eye pendant, plus 40% defense, dark elf boots, plus 60% speed, ring of protection, plus 35% defense, griffin's talon, plus 40% mental strength, enchanted silver ring, plus 30% speed, serpent king scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, desert troll's charm, plus 45% mental strength, enchanted dagger set, plus 300 strength, plus 300 agility. Rodrigo's silver bracelet. Chapter 113. A deep red fire grows hotter and hotter around the High Ogre King's body. Its dual blades glimmer off the light of its crackling flames, twisting them around in the air. The monster lets out a bellowing roar and charges at us again. My last successful attack has definitely made it mad. I dart off to the left side and Ari veers off to the right. Using a few of my skills to land that combination attack felt pretty good. Usually, I rely on my brute strength and fire-based attacks to take out my opponents. That won't work on this boss for a number of reasons. I smirk, Realizing this is a good opportunity to utilize some of my new abilities. The cat's out of the bag on most of my skills for the people in this boss room. There's no point in holding back anymore. All-Seeing Eye. I activate my perception-boosting ability and the entire battlefield seems to slow down in front of my eyes. This is the first time I've used it with so many moving variables. It's incredible. The boss looks like a fireworks show of various complex mana patterns. Its inner body shines with a dense light pink core of energy leaking out into its arms. Then swords to control them with the dual-wielding skill. I watch the mana continuously flow through the blades as they fly through the air. My enhanced senses allow me to see exactly where they're headed seconds before they arrive. There's much darker pink mana, closer to red, permeating out of its body creating the dense flames. It becomes very clear where the small gaps of fire magic are present. I've never really thought of magic powers like this. It's very technical. My mind is shocked by the sudden input of immense amounts of information. But I grit my teeth and continue running forward trying to stay focused. As I get closer, I air-step upwards to face the menace as it swings one of its swords at me. Last time, it took most of my strength and energy to twist out of the way to avoid its attack. This time around I have a different plan. With a sly grin, I watch the flow of mana force its sword toward me in an almost lackadaisical manner. What seemed to be elegant, highly concentrated attacks before now look like nothing more than careless random swings. I air-step towards it, tracking the simple trajectory as it draws near. With a few light directional corrections in midair, I step onto the flat side of its long blade to propel myself upwards even higher. In the moment, I look down to see and feel all of the mana within myself with much greater understanding. Wind Summoning. As I jump off the monster's blade, I concentrate on forming sharp layers of wind around my own. Then release 2 invisible dense crescents of wind similar to the fire attack I tend to use often. The boss shifts its eye towards me as it comes to the realization I've somehow completely outwitted it. Shing. The invisible wind blades cut through the weak points in its fire magic and hit the monster's open neck as I activate Stealth and Dungeon Walker. A dark portal forms in front of me and I fall through while the ogre cries out in pain. Moments later, I come out of the warp portal next to Ari deactivating Stealth as he fends off the monster's second sword. It lifts it up in the air reflexively to protect its neck, but this leaves its abdomen open for another attack. Without saying a word, I give a firm nod to my fellow dagger wielder, and we both charge in. With a gust of wind magic, I separate its veil of flames. Shing. We land 4 slashes to its exposed midsection. As soon as both of us land our hits, I activate Dungeon Walker and drag Ari through the portal to narrowly avoid the angry monster's incoming double sword attack. Its fire magic engulfs the area we previously stood burning even brighter than before. We exit my warp portal about 10 m away, right behind the bloodied angry mess of a boss. I let out another laugh as Ari feels his face, then chests to make sure he's still in one piece. He yells at me. Thanks, but what was that? You have a teleportation skill? And you can bring people with you? I breathe heavily and reach into my item storage to take out a few mana crystals. Then, crush them in my hand until they're dust, plundering my MP back up to full. I have a lot of skills, as you can see. I smile wide-eyed watching the High Ogre King turn towards us. I'd love to talk about them with you, but now doesn't seem to be the right time. I let out a chuckle and Ari nods with a grin. Suddenly, we're interrupted by the sound of loud yells behind us. We both quickly turn to see Bruce barely holding off a mutant ogre's sword with his hammer and Abby glowing green healing a large gash in his side. Nessa and Abby attempt to land hits on the behemoth, but they seem to be having a hard time. Their swords keep clashing against its shield, and both of them look rather awkward without the use of their special abilities. Sure, they're quick and they most likely won't get hit, but no damage is being dealt. The mutant they're fighting is overpowering and outmaneuvering them. Each member in that team of 4 is very competent on their own, but the lack of their best abilities is not helping one bit. They're all out of their element, and facing an opponent stronger than anything they've trained for. I turn to the tan-skinned dagger wielder by my side. Ari, if even one of us gets taken out here, we all fail dash. He cuts me off, gritting his teeth and staring down the mutant. "Leave it to me, you handle the boss. I will pass this exam no matter what. I'm putting my trust in you, Jay. Don't die." I give him a firm nod. "I won't." With that, we both dart off in opposite directions. Ari is more than capable enough to take on a mutant, and I may be the only one here that can get in close enough to land hits on the boss. There's not much time to think. I look up at the charging 6M tall ogre while air-stepping off the ground to start another barrage of attacks. Every second my all-seeing eye ability stays active, the more clear everything around me becomes. My movements become quicker and more precise as I adapt to the patterns of mana in the air. The monster swings both of its blades at me, but I activate stealth and begin my assault. Quickly and quietly I continue air-stepping around, narrowly avoiding its blades. It still senses my presence as I get closer and tries to spin its long, sharp horns at me again. I see this coming moments before it happens and let out 2 summoned Windblade attacks straight ahead, while making a warp portal in front of me to transport directly to the monster's opposite side near its waistline. The dense blades of wind clash with its bone-white horns, letting out an almost metallic ring as I slice at its midsection, drawing more blood. In a rage, the beast swings its swords at my new position, but I warp out of the way as its heavy swords cut through the open air. Underneath my stealth skill, I continue to glow with a dark crimson aura, tinted with gold and white. The grin across my face widens more and more as I become increasingly in tune with my new enhanced perception ability. It's allowing me to confidently warp around the battlefield, letting out attacks of wind magic at a safe distance. After 3 double hits to the abdomen and 1 brutal slash to its neck, I warp away to assess the damage I've dealt and plunder MP from a few mana crystals. I'm not making direct contact with the boss, so every moment I'm fighting, I lose a considerable amount of mana. It's bleeding all over, but even with the array of attacks it's taken, it must still have over 50% of its HP left. One wrong move and I'm a goner. I take a deep breath and run back in. I instantly spawn a dark portal in front of me to get a perfect position to attack. Shing. I continue to gain speed and accuracy while shifting my weight in the air to narrowly but gracefully avoid its incoming swords and release mid-range air slashes at its exposed parts. I start letting out loud laughs as I let the dagger mastery skill take control of my blades. Watching the mana flow through my arms and hands allows me to sync their movements with my wind summoning skill much more efficiently. Each attack I let out becomes even more precise, drawing more blood from the High Ogre King. It erupts with a bellowing, rage-filled battle cry, struggling to get into a good defensive stance. I land another 5 or so consecutive hits, then warp away temporarily to restore my mana. It raises its blades, spinning around and turning its head back and forth, trying to guess where my next attack will come from. By now, its legs, neck, and midsection are covered in deep wounds. The monster is breathing heavily, and I can sense its swings are slowing down. With a grin, I air-step back in, warping around the beast, letting out another ruthless wave of invisible attacks in its blind spots. Painful cries ring throughout the boss room as its guardian gets mutilated from all sides. I warp away from the monster one last time to restore my MP with mana crystals and plan a flashy finish. I've learned how to control a few of my skills much better, but I'm not going to give up an opportunity to end this match in style. The hard ground cracks under my right foot as I boost myself forward with a gust of wind. With both daggers in hand, glowing with every buff in my arsenal, I get ready for the kill shot. The flames of the boss monster flicker as it holds its sword out in front, attempting to block my incoming strike. Moments before impact, I use a warp portal to transport myself directly above its head. I throw my blades in front of the monster using telekinesis to send them flying at its swords. The 4 weapons collide in the air, creating a loud clanging sound as I land on the High Ogre King's back directly between its horns, placing both hands flat against its lower neck. Equivalent exchange. The brightest flash of white light fills my vision as I deal 1,000 damage to the monstrosity below me. It roars, and I match its tone with a yell of my own. As many times as I use this skill, I don't know if I'll ever get used to the pain. My vision clears, and I scramble into my item box, grabbing an HP potion and chugging it down as I begin to feel weightless. Thudded. The flames all around me flicker and die down as the massive boss falls flat on its face, and me along with it as I drop 6M to the floor. My daggers and its swords clang against the hard rock, and I let out a sigh of relief. Then, I feel the back muscles begin to twitch and a faint grunt slips out of its mouth. I immediately summon a sharp blade of wind and concentrate all of my remaining mana into a single strike. Without hesitation, I release my attack on the beast's open neck. Shing! The wind sword cuts through its flesh along with the hard red rock below. Level up! Level up! Level up! Use absorption. Skill. Dual wielding, special grade. Yes. No. An extreme feeling of satisfaction comes over my body as I choose yes and deactivate all my skills. The boss has finally been defeated. Status open. Name J Soju. Level 315. HP 1580/1580.
Mepe. 1220-1580.
Strength 765 plus 300. Speed 910 plus 546 plus 273. Agility 940 plus 423 plus 300. Defense 682 plus 273 plus 239. Mental strength 765 plus 153 plus 306 plus 344. Skills: absorption, swordsmanship, combat magic, fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, spatial magic, item storage, plunder, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, berserker, dungeon walker, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, dual wielding, special grade, items equipped, golden wolf ring, plus 20% mental strength, cyclops eye pendant, plus 40% defense, dark elf boots, plus 60% speed, ring of protection, plus 35% defense, griffin's talon, plus 40% mental strength, enchanted silver ring, plus 30% speed, serpent king scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, desert troll's charm, plus 45% mental strength, enchanted dagger set plus 300 strength plus 300 agility. Rodrigo's silver bracelet. Chapter 114. I look around the boss room until my teammates come into view. Ari is running circles around the mutant, slashing its weak points as the others work in perfect unison to distract the beast. Abby continues to heal Bruce as he takes hits from the monster's sword. Most are blocked by his hammer, but the occasional stray hit slips through. Maria and Nessa look much more comfortable working as a team with a direct goal in mind. They keep its shield busy while Ari gets to work. I smile and cross my arms, watching the tan-skinned dagger wielder zip across the battlefield. Now that I think about it, I should ask him for a few tips later. I'm sure my blade skills would get significantly better if he helped me train. About 6 precise dagger slashes later, the final mutant falls to its knees at Ares' mercy. It's over. The massive king's corpse begins to dissolve, and I hear the faint sound of metal hitting the hard rock floor. I turn to see a massive pink mana crystal beside a golden ring with a dark red jewel embedded in its face. I use appraisal. High Ogre King's ring plus 60% mental strength. I pick up both the loot items and spin them around in my right hand as I hold both my daggers in the left. All yours, you earned it. I look up to see Ari wiping his blades clean on his cloak while the other 4 team members follow close behind, smiling wide. With a sigh, I take off the first ring I ever got from a boss battle, the Mutant Werewolf's ring. It only has a 20% metal strength boost, arguably my worst percent boosting item. All my slots are full for now, so I have to make a switch if I want to try out this new drop. I throw it in my item storage along with the mana crystal and place the new High Ogre King's ring on my finger. The difference is instantly noticeable. As I admire my new jewelry, a flash of white light appears between my group and me. Maria was about to call out but was rudely interrupted by a red-suited examiner. Rodrigo appears and looks me in the eyes with a crooked grin. Then his gaze slowly moves to the others. Congratulations. It looks like all 6 of you have passed the exam. He turns back to me, staring intently with his dull white eyes. I'd like to offer you a position at the Hunters Association. I gulp. He turns to the others. This goes for all of you. You've passed one of the hardest C-class exams ever given. The association is looking for hunters with abilities just like yours. Rodrigo turns back to me. This offer is optional for everyone here, except you. I clench my jaw and stare back at him without saying another word. Aries' voice rings out from behind the examiner. I accept. I'd like to join the association. Rodrigo slowly nods. Very well, Dash. The white light of the dungeon's transfer magic begins to activate and my vision goes blank. Moments later, we're all stood close together in a rather narrow tunnel. It's very dark. The floor, walls, and ceiling are all made of hard black stone, and about 20 m in front of us is another light gray spinning mass of energy. There's the normal return portal behind, but there's 2 in such close vicinity. I whisper to myself, is that another portal? Again, I hear Rodrigo's voice. It is. That portal leads to the final labyrinth boss. I'll get to that in a moment. I'd like to get to the point I was making before being cut off by the transfer magic. I stare down the hallway and take a deep breath while feeling the dense mana in the air. It's much more intense than any dungeon break I've ever experienced. Whatever is behind that portal must be incredibly strong. Rodrigo takes out his small white note of paper from earlier and scribbles something down. To collect your new C-class licenses, please stop by the Hunters Association building tomorrow morning. Each of you is on the list and has an open contract deal available if you desire to work with us. The room goes silent. Jay, I'm busy early tomorrow morning, but I'll set up a meeting with you and an association higher up. This will be mandatory if you'd like to receive your C-class license. Let's meet around noon. My eyes open wide. I knew it would be risky to show off my skills during this exam, but I had no idea it'd be to this extent. A mandatory meeting with an association higher up? What will they do to me? There's no known multi-skill user with capabilities like mine. I just showed them all off to one of 4 rankers in the entire country. My stomach drops like a rock. The adrenaline pumping through my veins from my battle earlier exits my system as I'm filled with dread and regret. How could I be so stupid? I blew it. From the start, I was going to train secretly until my abilities knew no limits. I needed to have no equal before exposing my powers to the world. I got cocky and exposed myself for a good time. I'm an adrenaline junkie with a power fantasy that jumped in too deep and got way out of my league. Is that really what I've come to? Will they turn me into a weapon for the government? Do experiments on me to extract my powers? I gulp and shiver as a million thoughts begin racing through my head. I grit my teeth and stare at him with frustration. Why you can't do Dash? He grins and nods. Yes, I can, and I will. The association has asked me to scout promising individuals, and I will provide them with what they demand. They've given me a gift in return. In a state of shock, my mouth hangs wide open as the reality of my crumbling future begins to set in. Rodrigo continues. Anyways, this is the final boss room. If you'd like to challenge it, be my guest. It's impossible for any of you to defeat it at your current skill levels. He turns to Maria and puts out his left arm. Come here. I assume you'd like another bracelet. It'll be a much quicker way out. She gulps and puts her wrist out. The examiner glows with a faint white light and she's wearing another silver bracelet all of a sudden. He grins. All right, who would like a one-way trip back to the outside world? Those of you that wish to fight the boss. Again, you may go ahead and traumatize yourselves at your own leisure. The narrow tunnel fell silent. I'm not the only one thoroughly shocked by this outcome. Over 5 seconds pass and no one speaks up. I clear my throat and decided to break the silence. I'm going to face the boss. I need a good fight right now. I look Rodrigo in the eyes, then turn my head to the portal and start running. While storing one of my daggers in storage and pulling out my sword, I light my entire body into a ball of fire while activating every stat-boosting skill in my arsenal. The muffled yells of my teammates call out behind me, but I pay them no mind. The excitement from defeating this entire exam with such ease has turned into rage. I need a fight to the death to clear my mind. That's all I can think about. Moments later, I jump through. With a flaming dagger and long sword in hand, I take in the view of the final boss room. The ground is completely flat, and as black as the cave I just left, but the sky above is beautiful. The outline above me is dome-shaped. It's comprised of pink and white swirling mana. The feeling is both eerie and empowering. I stare at the slow-moving clouds above in awe, activating my all-seeing eye for an even better view. The moment I do so, my heart skips a beat. There's an intense dark mass of energy rocketing toward me at an alarmingly quick speed. I grit my teeth and ready my blades. While looking straight ahead into the darkness, I activate enemy detection, inspect, and appraisal. 100 M. LV. 445. Active items. Greater Demon's Sword plus 70% strength. Greater Demon's Armor plus 70% defense. Greater Demon's Core plus 50% all stats. Active skills. Dungeon Walker. Telepathy. Legendary grade. Buffs. Greater Demon's Curse hidden ability. An impossibly fast blur of dark matter rockets toward me. All I see is a 4M tall demonic entity with white eyes and 2 curling red horns. It has a humanoid body, and the skill set seems oddly familiar to another creature I fought before this exam in the High Orc dungeon, but I have no time to make comparisons. I activate stealth and dart away to my left to make as much distance as possible from this monster, hoping to formulate a plan. I grip my swords and glow bright, increasing my buffs to their max potential while letting out a yell of frustration. Then, a swirling black portal opens no more than 5 m in front of me. It used Dungeon Walker. I gulp as the black palm of the demon stretches outwards, followed by the rest of its body. The monster's white eyes lock on mine. I see the greater demon in all its glory. Rippling muscles head to toe, shining silver armor covering its vitals, long dark tribal-looking tattoos across its chest and arms. Its skin is very dark, but these mysterious tattoo-like lines are darker than any abyss. It shows me a toothy grin while lunging at me with an outstretched palm. There's nothing I can do. It's too fast, and caught me completely off guard. I hear a deep voice ring out in my head. Demon's Curse. My eyes open wide as its huge black hand slams into my chest, and I feel a horrible dark energy invade my body. I'm thrown backward over 20 m and skid across the ground for 20 more. I cough up blood and hear a ticking sound in my inner ear. Every time it ticks, I'm hit with a surge of inescapable pain. It's hot and sharp, covering my entire body and soul. It occurs every second on the second. The breath was knocked out of me on impact. I gasp for air as I open my status. My vision is blurry and all my senses are dulled. I have too many debuffs to count, and every time I hear a tick, my HP lowers by 100 points. I cough up more blood while putting away my dagger and scrambling to grab an HP potion. Finally, I find one and chug it down. The greater demon slowly walks toward me as I struggle to keep my balance. My health is back to full, but it's dropping fast again as the ticks continue. The monster keeps inching closer as my vision blurs more and more. I grab another HP potion 10 seconds later and regain my health, but it doesn't help at all. I'm seeing stars, my vision is practically all black. The creature inches closer and closer, curiously watching me struggle. My breathing becomes erratic and I manage to chug another HP potion down before falling to my knees. This is a horrible sensation. All the muscles in my body are contracting harder than I can bear. All my systems are shutting down and there's nothing I can do. I can barely grasp the 4th HP potion in my hand. As my vision turns completely black, the potion falls through my fingers down to the floor. My HP hits 0 with a final tick as it breaks into shards of glass. Chapter 115. The veil of darkness in my vision slowly fades to white, then reality comes into view. The horrible pain that took over my body is gone. I'm sitting on the hard ground with my sword by my side and both hands in my lap. The silver bracelet is gone. I died. I let out a long sigh, realizing I've been transported to the labyrinth's entrance. Jay, you're, I look up to see Maria standing over me with Bruce, Abby, and Nessa behind her. The sky is dark and there aren't many hunters standing around anymore. With a nod, I put my sword away while slowly getting up to my feet. I'm fine. I stare at the floor for a moment, shake my head, then put a fake smile on my face before looking back at the lot of them. What are we waiting for? Let's celebrate, we made it. We're all C-class hunters now. Maria stares me in the eyes for a few seconds, then a grin widens across her face. You're right. With a skip and a hop, she grabs me by the arm, linking our elbows together. Simultaneously, a flash of white light appears right next to me and Ari appears breathing heavily with eyes opened wide. He looks around at us in confusion, then lets out his own sigh of relief. That was not an opponent I had any hopes of beating. He looks me in the eyes and I give him a firm nod. Yeah, agreed. I gulp. Ari puts away his bow and takes another look at all of us before I speak up again. Hey, do you want to go get dinner with us? To celebrate. With a light smile, he agrees. The 6 of us head off back in the city's direction. There's a small road that winds all the way back. My mind continues to race thinking over the immense stupidity of my actions. But Maria's arm grasped around my own as we walk keeps me mildly distracted from the self-deprecating thoughts. Nessa and Bruce lead the way down the small road having a conversation about their guild and how this C-class promotion will get them into new positions. Ari is silent for a bit but starts asking Abby about all the fine details of life at the association. I try to listen in but keep zoning out into my own world so none of the information actually sticks in my head. Maria continues to squeeze my arm tight while humming softly to herself. We take up the rear. I stare straight ahead, counting my breaths and focusing on the rhythmic footsteps as we travel to the town. The lights of the city come into view and I can even hear the main train line nearby. My stomach gurgles and Maria lets out a chuckle while turning to me. I'm starving too. How about we go to that place Ray took us last time we were here? She practically jumps up and down. I smile and let out a laugh of my own, replying in a low tone. That would hit the spot. I look straight ahead as we near the city entrance and raise an eyebrow. What are the odds? Both Ray and Jack are standing by the arching city gate. It's not a main city entrance, but it's the only one that connects to this path from the mountains. They must have heard the news that hunters were finishing up and came to meet us. 2 other groups of hunters and businessmen from the association and Terra Guild wave down the rest of our team. It looks like no one came to greet Ari though. He follows Maria and me as we get closer. Ray waves us down and is the first to speak up. Jay, Maria, congrats. Well, I assume you dash. Maria unlatches her arm from my own and cuts her off while jumping forward. Yup, we did it. Ray catches Maria midair to receive her flying hug as Jack approaches with a hand lifted up by his side. I firmly shake it and he grins. Congratulations. You're a C-class now, huh? It seems I am. Abby comes running over to us after talking to her group. Apparently, they're having a special celebration tomorrow for the association's successful applicants, so she's available to go out with us tonight without a problem. Bruce and Nessa walk over to us moments later. It seems like their guild master is away, so they're free to celebrate too. I turn to Ari and nudge my head toward Jack and Ray. All 4 of them introduce themselves and we begin laughing and retelling a few interesting stories from the exam as we walk into town. Our final battle and the events that followed didn't come up in conversation. The 8 of us get a large circular booth at a restaurant that lets us cook our own meat and vegetables on individual open grills. Each of us orders multiple entrees and enough bottles of drinks to drown a whale. With a clink of all our glasses, the night begins. Smiles fill the room, and I slowly fade into peaceful bliss. All my worries turn into nothing but fuzzy nothingness and uncontrollable laughter. We eat great food and celebrate a huge milestone in every great hunter's journey. We've really become C-class hunters. A few hours pass and the restaurant begins to die down as parties leave. Our food and drinks diminish and Jack gracefully pays the bill. It's on me tonight. I've booked you all a few hotel rooms too. Rest up and we'll take the train home tomorrow. I squint, trying to concentrate on the room key he's handing me. My vision is a bit blurry. The walls, floor, and people around me are bending and distorting at random. Maybe I drank too much. With a sloppy hand, I grab the key from Jack and thank him with a goofy grin. He puts his arm around my shoulder and Ray helps Maria up out of her seat. Ari laughs and finishes the bottle in his hand before standing up. Jay, I had no idea you were such a lightweight. He slaps me on the back and I hiccup. My tan-skinned teammate gives me a toothy grin. Hope I see you tomorrow at the association. I look forward to working with you in the future. You're a good guy. With that, he gets up and leaves. I'm left in a daze. His words definitely went in my right ear, but half of them basically fell out the other side. I mumble to myself as Bruce, Nessa, and Abby say their goodbyes and walk out the door. Working together? With Ari? Why would I dash? My heart skips a beat as my facade of happiness crumbles. The drunk bliss I'd been indulging myself in spirals into quite the opposite. My breathing gets heavier and faster. I concentrate on my echoing footsteps as Jack helps me to the hotel. My mind is spinning and it's even harder to form clear thoughts with these toxins running through my system. It feels like hours have gone by, but I've counted my footsteps to stay calm. We've walked 3 blocks at most. Jack's voice rings out in my ear. Hey, take this. I hope you feel better by the morning. Great nights tend to end like this anyways. Right, Jay? He hands me a bottle of water and gives me a concerned smile as we enter a building. He speaks again. You're on the 4th floor, room 407. I nod and lean against the hotel lobby's wall. Give me a minute. I think I'm going to take a walk before I sleep. Jack lets out a sigh. All right, don't wander too far. I won't. Ray, Maria, and Jack all get in an elevator to their rooms as I stand with one arm holding me up against the wall, drinking as much of the bottled water as I can manage. I take a few deep breaths, then walk out the front door. Wobbling back and forth, I take a stroll. The water did help a bit, but my mind is far from straight right now. Being out here is better than a small closed-off room. I sigh, thinking back to that final boss fight. I never even stood a chance. It was faster than me, stronger than me, and even had a dungeon walker ability just like mine. It's the same as that odd monster I fought before the exam too. A demon. Are they the ones that run the dungeons? Demons? Do they feed off the power of mana absorbed in labyrinths? That would make sense. As labyrinths are left without being defeated, their guardians would only grow stronger. They would add floors and gain levels, and my mind races with paranoia and creativity as the walls of reality and fantasy twist in my head. I hear a ringing sound, and my head begins to ache pretty badly. With a grunt of pain, I sit down on a bus stop bench and chug the last of my water. It helps, but it's far from solving all my current issues. I open my status for the fun of it and let out a drunken laugh. All these skills, and I still can't fend for myself. I scroll, then decide to activate my all-seeing eye and do some leisurely intoxicated reading. Let's see here. How about my fire magic? What's the description on this one? Combat magic. Fire summoning. Info. A powerful combat magic skill with an aptitude for fire. The caster is able to summon flames from their body and even imbue them into weapons. Residue may be left behind to deal extra damage to an opponent even after the initial attack. Grade. Fire summoning. Upgrade. My eyes open wide and a goofy grin comes across my face as I click upgrade without hesitation. Another screen pops up.
Upgrade. 100 PP.
Fire summoning. Dash. Advanced Fire Summoning. All fire magic attacks will increase in proficiency by 100%. Magic residue will burn indefinitely until put out by a magic spell of equivalent or greater proficiency. Woohoo! Look at that. Without another thought crossing my mind, my fire magic is upgraded on the spot. I continue scrolling, thinking about that demon I had no chance of defeating. I grit my teeth and click on Dungeon Walker. Dungeon Walker. Info. An ability solely found in demonic entities. It allows the caster to form warp portals within dungeons they have traveled to in the past. The caster may bring along passengers via physical contact. Grade, no grade. Upgrade. I click upgrade faster than I could read the skill's description. Upgrade, 50 pp. No grade dash. Special grade. Dungeon Walker may be performed instantaneously. No warp portal lag time will be added while using the special grade option. Any dungeon the caster has seen or stepped foot in is available for instant teleportation without the use of warp portals. Mana requirements for non-portal travel will be double. My eyes and mouth open wide. Now this one, I gotta have this. I click upgrade and continue the scrolling spree. What do I need? What else could I dash? I raise an eyebrow and click on self-regeneration. Self-regeneration. Info. An ability that allows the caster to convert mana into physical matter. Lost limbs and broken bones can be healed in an instant, allowing the caster to continue their battle. This skill does not replenish HP and may have heavy side effects including fatigue and drowsiness. Grade, no grade. Upgrade. I let out a laugh while clicking upgrade. Upgrade, 50 pp. No grade dash. Special grade. Self-regeneration will now heal poisons and curses up to a special grade rating. This is a passive skill. If any harmful foreign matter enters your body, it will be immediately expelled, allowing you to finish your battle. Poison resistance. Nice. I click upgrade and immediately feel mana being sucked out of me at an alarmingly quick rate. Hey, what's going on here? I try to deactivate all my active skills, but MP continues to leave my body. I grab a few mana crystals from my storage and plunder the energy to bring myself back to full, but my bar keeps falling. What is? The city lights around me come into clear view. They're not blurry white and red blobs anymore. The street under my feet stops wobbling, and even the bench I'm sitting on becomes an actual flat surface. The world comes back into clear view and my sober mind returns to me. Did I? I blink a few times and look down at my hands, then jump up in the air to stretch my legs and arms. I breathe in fresh air and stare at my status in awe. The bad news is I just went on a drunk spending spree. The good news is, well, I guess I'll never be able to do it again. I gulp. At least I upgraded a few good abilities. I feel great and have way too many things to think about right now. Sleep is not an option. It wouldn't hurt to try them out. A grin slowly creeps back onto my face as I make my way toward the city's dungeon hub. Name J Soju. Level 315. HP 1580/1580.
Mepe 1510-1580.
Strength 765. Speed 910 plus 546 plus 273. Agility 940 plus 423. Defense 682 plus 273 plus 239. Mental strength 765 plus 459, plus 306, plus 344. Skills: Absorption, Swordsmanship, Combat Magic, Advanced Fire Summoning, Inspect, Special Grade, Enemy Detection, Body Hardening, Special Grade, Self-Regeneration, Special Grade, Spatial Magic, Item Storage, Plunder, Telekinesis, Appraisal, Special Grade, Conceal, Berserker, Dungeon Walker, Special Grade, Intimidation, Dagger Mastery, Stealth, Bloodlust, Equivalent Exchange, Combat Magic, Wind Summoning, All-Seeing Eye, Extreme Strength, Dual Wielding Special Grade, Items Equipped, High Ogre King's Ring, plus 60% Mental Strength, Cyclops Eye Pendant, plus 40% Defense, Dark Elf Boots, plus 60% Speed, Ring of Protection, plus 35% Defense, Griffin's Talon, plus 40% Mental Strength, Enchanted Silver Ring, plus 30% Speed, Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% Agility, plus 45% Magic Resistance, Desert Troll's Charm, plus 45% Mental Strength. Chapter 116. I make my way down the dimly lit streets. The sidewalks are empty and there isn't a single person in sight. My footsteps echo through the dark alleys as I walk straight toward the dungeon hub. My mental clarity is unmatched. I know exactly what I have to do. I need to get back into that labyrinth. If the association wants to force a mandatory contract on me, I'll make it as hard as possible for them. I'll train all night and sharpen my skills. If the offer they put in front of me resembles a slave contract in any way, I'll just go rogue. I already have a pretty good reputation as the Flame Emperor in the black market society here. If all else fails, I guess I'll be fine. I gulp. This is my decision. My unique skill is a special one. Possibly the most powerful skill there is. I need my freedom to use it to its full potential. I dash. My footsteps cease to echo into the night as I realize my error in wasted potential. I just spent 200 PP. I could have upgraded my absorption skill to legendary grade. With a sigh, I open my status and activate my all-seeing eye to check out my most important attribute. Absorption. Info. This is a unique skill. Upon dealing the final killing blow to any creature, the caster has the capability to absorb its skills. Absorbed skills will be adapted to fit the caster's biology. Grade, no grade. Upgrade. I click upgrade without hesitation.
Upgrade, 50 PP.
No grade dash. Special grade. Skills acquired using absorption will increase in grade class up to special grade upon casting. A special grade hidden ability. After defeating opponents of considerable strength, there is a chance the caster will be able to absorb 5% of their open highest stat points. This will permanently increase the caster's status. For every 5 levels that the opponent surpasses the caster's own, the probability of triggering this passive ability increases by 1%. I click upgrade and smile with satisfaction. I have 65 PP left. I'll keep the rest stockpiled for now. Legendary grade absorption probably would have been incredibly good, but special grade will be a neat increase for the time being. These things happen for a reason, right? I begin walking again and make it to the dungeon hub less than 15 minutes later. This is a much more populated portion of the city. Late-night hunting isn't too popular, but some still do it. Everyone has their own schedules after all. A dungeon's environment doesn't revolve around our 24-hour clock. They're always the same inside, so it's the same diving experience. I walk to the gates and show the night shift guard my D-class license to travel down into the hub. There's less than half a dozen hunters down here. I get on the first train and get off at the first stop. It's some random low-grade D-class dungeon. I don't even take the time to read what monsters spawn here. The moment I'm inside, I draw my sword and activate Dungeon Walker. The instant I do, my body becomes very light. Portal doesn't even form. All I see are potential destinations in my mind's eye. My physical body isn't part of the equation. I lock onto an overlook in the mountains on floor 11 of the labyrinth and transport there without another thought. With a grin, I look down at my sword, then up at the beautiful view of the mountains as a griffin flies overhead. So that's how Special Grade Dungeon Walker works. Nice. I activate enemy detection and begin teleporting around all 5 floors, 11 through 16. Without being noticed, I count just under 30 stragglers remaining. Most of them are on the 16th floor, continuing to train for their final test. I have plenty of time. I find myself a desolate area on the 16th floor with a group of high ogres and take out a dagger to hold with my sword, using all my stat-boosting skills along with my newest advanced fire summoning skill. My body glows dark red with a hint of gold. My flames crackle and twist as my sword begins to glow. In an instant, I begin zipping around the battlefield. My strength and speed outdo these measly level 320s. Seconds later, corpses fall to the floor in pieces, still burning bright with flames that show no sign of flickering out. I smirk, then activate Dungeon Walker again. Without bothering to collect the loot, I find myself another group of monsters. This continues on for about an hour. I get a feel for my new dual-wielding ability. The movements of my dagger and sword together feel much more natural. I can block with one and attack with the other. I've been using wind magic with the dagger and fire with my sword. The flames from my new advanced skill seem to actually not go out until the object they're burning turns to ash. After roughly 20 high ogres, I gain 6 more levels. I'm level 321 now. There's only 2 opponents in this labyrinth that are worth fighting now. The floor 16 high ogre king and the greater demon up above. The only problem is Rodrigo. He's standing right outside the boss room, so the only way to go in and train would be to walk past him. That's not a conversation I'm willing to have right now. I use Dungeon Walker to teleport nearby and climb up a jagged rock ledge that looks down on the boss room portal from a distance. While sitting up against the large hard flat rock, I wait. My breathing is slow, heart rate is steady, and mind completely clear. There's only one mission to complete: get into that boss room without the A-class examiner noticing. About 30 minutes go by. The heat up here is getting very uncomfortable, but I take the pain and keep staring ahead. A team of 4 finally arrives. My eyes perk up as I see Rodrigo giving them the usual entrance speech. A few seconds later, they all enter the spinning mass of energy. Now's my chance. Quickly and quietly, I get down from the ledge and run over to the unsupervised portal. I look over my shoulder a few times while waiting for the necessary 30 seconds to pass so I can fight my own boss battle. Just like that, I make it in. I reactivate my stat-boosting skills and get to work. With a flash of light, the battle begins. A wave of high ogres comes running at me, but I cut them down in seconds without much issue at all. Running forward while activating my detection skills, 2 mutants come at me right on cue. With extreme speed and precision, I warp around them while plundering MP with every slash of my sword. They both fall to piles of ash moments later. While wiping sweat from my forehead, the familiar sounds of the flaming high ogre king ring out from behind me. I ignite myself into a ball of fire to match its energy and jump into the air toward the beast with a glowing blade. It's a much easier fight this time around. I know all of this ogre's tricks, and it doesn't know a single one of my weaknesses. With a few well-timed Dungeon Walker teleportations and too many air slashes to count, I bring the king to its knees once again. With a final swing of my blade, I defeat the boss. After all the battles in this room, my level went up another 5 times. I'm level 326 now. The king dissolves and drops a mana crystal, nothing more. I'm transported to the long dark hallway and stop in my tracks. While staring at the spinning portal before me, I gulp and decide it's not time yet. With a deep breath, I use Dungeon Walker to transport myself back to my hiding spot. It seems the other team has not returned, though. While scanning the area carefully, I enter the room again. I go through the exact same fights, but this time it's even easier. The king is slain and I gain 3 levels in total, bringing me to level 329. The boss did not drop any loot a second time in a row, just a mana crystal. When I transport back to my hideout up on the ledge, I see Rodrigo standing by the portal. I let out a sigh. It looks like I'll get 2 chances every time a team comes along. While waiting, I twirl my dagger and count the drips of sweat that fall from my forehead, hitting the hot red ground below me as they sizzle into steam. Another full hour passes before a new team arrives. I jump to my feet as Rodrigo gives them the talk and they all enter the portal. I get to face off another 2 rounds against the king. After my inevitable double victory, I gain 6 more levels, bringing me to level 335. The boss actually dropped a nice piece of armor. It's a chest plate with 400 plus defense. A bit too bulky for my style. I put it in my item storage and wait on the ledge above for another team to arrive. Dripping sweat and losing brain cells in the horrible heat up above, a third party meets with the tan-skinned examiner. They're a party of 6, wearing copious amounts of gear giving off auras of various colors. They all look pretty nervous. The lot of them enter normally, and I wait up above for the 30 seconds to pass. Once they do, I watch the spinning mass of energy turn dark gray. My face lights up with a smile and my eyes open wide. That large team must have failed their raid. That was quick. This next boss is going to be a mutant. Name J Soju. Level 335. HP 1680/1680.
MP 1680-1680.
Strength 816 plus 150 plus 751. Speed 968 plus 581 plus 290. Agility 999 plus 450 plus 150. Defense 724 plus 290 plus 253. Mental strength 816 plus 490 plus 326 plus 367 plus 441. Skills: absorption, special grade, swordsmanship, combat magic, advanced fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, special grade, spatial magic, item storage, plunder, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, berserker, dungeon walker, special grade, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, dual wielding, special grade, items equipped, High Ogre King's ring, plus 60% mental strength, Cyclops Eye pendant, plus 40% defense, Dark Elf boots, plus 60% speed, Ring of Protection, plus 35% defense, Griffin's Talon, plus 40% mental strength, Enchanted Silver Ring, plus 30% speed, Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, Desert Troll's Charm, plus 45% mental strength, Enchanted Dagger Set, 1/2, plus 150 strength plus 150 agility. The Flame Emperor's Sword, Fire Aspect, plus 92% strength, plus 54% mental strength. Chapter 117. I grip my shiny black dagger in my left palm while igniting the flames of my sword in my right. With a grin ear to ear, I jump through the dark, swirling mass of energy in front of me. A mutant boss. This is just what I've been waiting for. My body materializes on the other side, spawning me into the boss room. The air is thick, much thicker than the air outside or any of the previous boss rooms I've been in. I let out a few muffled coughs as the steam and smoke around me fills my lungs with hot fumes. Using a constant gust of wind magic, I manage to keep the large particles of dust and ash from my mouth so I can concentrate on my surroundings. The dense mana in the air is close to unbearable. It almost feels like it's about to materialize from the sky and fall to the floor. Activating enemy detection, I sense the usual 2 waves of monsters approaching and take care of business. With a few swift air steps and the occasional use of teleportation for better positioning the high ogres, and their mutant counterparts burn to piles of ash. They're definitely a little stronger, but nowhere near what I expected. It's kind of a letdown. Have I already outgrown this labyrinth? Is it dash? My mumbling gets cut off by heavy footsteps approaching. Thud, thud, thud. I see the familiar sight of large steam clouds instantly turning blood red as a beast emerges. It has similar proportions to the previous boss, but the wave of even denser mana that fills the air as it approaches is rather off-putting. The beast's skin is much darker red, and its eyes glow with a fiery rage. The huge mutant High Ogre King lets out a roar as it readies both of its silver and gold blades, staring me down with an intensity hard to match. I use Inspect and Appraisal while gritting my teeth. A grin creeps through my clenched jaw. LV 387. Active items. High Ogre King's Sword plus 55% strength. High Ogre King's Sword plus 55% strength. High Ogre King's Armor Set plus 750 defense plus 350 speed plus 350 agility. High Ogre King's Ring plus 60% mental strength. High Ogre King's Pendant plus 60% mental strength. Active skills. Dual wielding special grade. Combat magic. Advanced fire summoning. Buffs. High Ogre King's Resistance plus 70% magic resistance. King's Body raised in fire plus 70% extra fire resistance. Blood of a Mutant plus 25% all stats. Mutant King's Fit of Rage hidden ability. I scan its stats and take into account the subtle changes. Some of its armor and weapons have increased in strength by a few percent. Its fire summoning skill has upgraded to advanced, and there's a brand new buff that adds 25% to all of its base stats. I gulp but know I'm stacked with overpowered gear as well. If anything, our base stats are close to even. I have the advantage because of my abundant list of skills. I lunge forward and the battle begins. I glow with dark golden crimson flames, and the boss burns dark red, swinging its swords with cool, calculated precision. We clash blades as I airstep and teleport around the battlefield. My all-seeing eye picks up on its fine movements, and I stay one step ahead at all times. Hit after hit, the mutant's flames grow hotter as I cut away at its thick flesh with wind slashes and occasional hits from my sword. The monster stays calm and does not make this battle easy on me. I only land 1 out of every 6 or so hits. Even with my perception boost, it's quick on its feet and skilled with those shining blades. I take a page out of its book and stay cool and collected myself. The sound of clanging metal rings out in the boss room as both of our fire burns bright and the mutant defends its throne. About 5 minutes pass and I've landed a number of hits on the beast. It's not slowing down, and for some reason, doesn't seem worried in the slightest. For now, I take advantage of every perk I can get and carry on filing down its defenses. Clash after clash. Blood drips from the beast and sparks fly in the air as our battle continues. Finally, I can sense its movements slowing down as my successful attacks grow in numbers. Gashes pile on up its arms, legs, and gaps in its armor. The beast begins to breathe heavily, and I do not slow down. I drip with sweat, counting to slash away at my opponent. With a final barrage of attacks, I let out a yell, and the beast falls to its knees with a loud grunt. Clang. It dropped its swords? I pause for a moment mid-stride in a state of confusion. The boss breathes heavily and stares me in the eyes as I cautiously inch closer to it with my weapons in hand. It doesn't move or even try to grab the swords by its knees. The monster just grunts and sways side to side while staring into my soul. Such an odd battle. I gulp and continue inching toward the behemoth in front of me. This monster fought long and hard, but my abilities were too overpowered in the end. It never stood a chance. So, you admit defeat? I'll end it here. With a smirk, I concentrate my mana into my sword, storing up wind and fire magic more powerful than anything I've ever attempted. I have to make it flashy after all. With my right foot, I launch myself forward and ready myself to release my new all-powerful attack. I soar forward at the beast while it stays still, presumably frozen in fear or dumbfounded in defeat. Then, less than 5 m before impact, I see a shift in its eyes. A deep crimson fire burns deep within them, especially with my all-seeing eye active. The depths of its mana pools are beyond my wildest imagination. The monster's HP can't be more than 10% right now, and it still has this much power. How could it? I mutter a few words, while reflexively shielding myself with body-hardening crystals and bracing for impact as I watch its mana stores triple in size before my eyes. I let out a gasp as its entire body begins to glow bright red, erupting into a magnificent display of fire. I'm struck with a burning hot wave of dark red flames that are even hotter than my own. My entire right arm is engulfed in the blast before I activate Dungeon Walker and teleport to the far side of the boss room. I blip 100 m away, breathing heavily while watching a wave of flames roll towards me. There's a searing pain in my arm that was caught in the blast. How dash. Then I remember one of its unique buffs. The Mutant King's Fit of Rage. Must be it. A failsafe when it's on its last breath, a self-destruct skill. I grit my teeth while using my blade to break apart the rock floor below me. After I dig down 3 m or so, I jump in and take cover, holding the rocks above my head with all the telekinesis I can muster. The earth around me rumbles as the wave of flames passes over me. Fire seeps in, but I hold strong and keep the bulk of it out. About 3 seconds go by before the extreme heat clears. Then a familiar ringing sounds in my head. Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. I let out a sigh, relaxing for a moment, then feeling that sharp hot pain in my right arm. While moving the rumble out of the way, I get back up to the surface and deactivate my skills. My flames die down and my buffs vanish, but the fire on my right arm does not go out, continues to burn deep into my bicep, forearm, and is creeping down to my hand. This is the advanced fire summoning at work. The flames from this skill don't go out unless nullified by one of equal level. I would assume water magic is a viable cure. I let out a sigh, then teleport myself over to the monster's corpse while managing the pain. I flinch as the dark flames start burning my hand and creep up to my shoulder. The boss is in pieces and hasn't dissolved yet. I look around hastily. The fire doesn't hurt too much, but this could get bad. I gulp, put my dagger into my item storage and switch my sword over to my left hand. With a deep breath in, then out, I close my eyes and swing downwards to cut off my right arm in one swift slash. Letting out a grunt of pain. Immediately, I begin regenerating my lost limb while eyeing the fallen monster's corpse eagerly. This better be worth it. My heart pounds in my ears as my wound fully heals and I grab a few mana crystals to regain my MP. Clink. Time slows down as I watch 2 crystals fall out of the king's dissolving corpse. One is a large pink mana crystal, but the other, is that an element stone? A palm-sized crystal, red hot with flames, hits the hard rock floor, echoing throughout the boss room. My gaze is glued to the flaming stone as it rolls to my feet. It's semi-translucent with a dark red base color. I can see the ground right through it. The hand-sized gem gives off a flicker of intense flames, giving off a lot of heat. For a moment, I just stare. Then, I carefully open my item storage, placing it inside with the tip of my blade. I'm not taking any chances. There's no way I'm touching those flames again. I take the mana crystal and throw it in my storage as well. This is not what I expected when I thought I'd fight a mutant, but with a reward like this, I can't complain. The bright white transfer magic begins to glow and I'm transported to the narrow tunnel leading to the labyrinth's final boss. The ominous portal spins at the end of the rock-lined hallway and my thoughts run wild. The dense mana in the air doesn't help me think straight. All it does is add more pressure to the situation at hand. I've gotten much stronger since I challenged it last time. With my new skill upgrades, I can just teleport out in an instant if things are going downhill. There's always more time to train if I need to. Am I really ready for the labyrinth's final boss? Name J Soju. Level 340. HP 1140/1705. MP 1705/1705. Strength 829 plus 771. Speed 983 plus 590 plus 295. Agility 1014 plus 456. Defense 735 plus 294 plus 257. Mental strength 829 plus 498 plus 332 plus 373 plus 456. Skills: absorption, special grade, swordsmanship, combat magic, advanced fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, special grade, spatial magic, item storage, plunder, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, berserker, dungeon walker, special grade, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, dual wielding, special grade, items equipped, High Ogre King's ring, plus 60% mental strength, Cyclops Eye pendant, plus 40% defense, Dark Elf boots, plus 60% speed, Ring of Protection, plus 35% defense, Griffin's Talon, plus 40% mental strength, Enchanted Silver Ring, plus 30% speed, Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, Desert Troll's Charm, plus 45% mental strength, the Flame Emperor's Sword, Fire Aspect, plus 93% strength, plus 55% mental strength. Chapter 118. I stare at the gray mass of energy spinning in front of me. My breaths slow down as I think over my current situation. I could wait around outside the 16th floor boss room for a few more hours. There are about 5 teams left. I'd have a few more chances to get stronger before facing the greater demon again. On the other hand, it really couldn't hurt to test my luck. I can compare my new skills to the demon and teleport out instantly if I'm in any real danger. I gulp. This is just a trial run. I take out both my blades, sword in my right hand and dagger in my left. Each footstep I take echoes in the narrow stone tunnel. The spinning portal gets closer and closer until I step through without a second thought. The intensity of mana in the air rises as I'm transported into the final boss room. My heart rate spikes as I activate all my stat-boosting skills, my all-seeing eye. Fast, yet light footsteps catch my attention from the back of the room. They vanish. Then a dark, swirling mass of energy appears no more than 20 m in front of me. I clench my jaw and lift my weapons as the greater demon appears. Its eyes are a dreadful pale white contrasting its dark skin. The red-horned creature that one-shot me last time we fought slowly walks toward me without a shred of hesitation in its movements. My breathing speeds up and I ignite my body into a ball of fire. My eyes glance side to side trying to think of a plan. Then, I hear a deep voice ring out in my head. You've returned. It's not often a visitor comes back to see me a second time. The towering demon continues its slow strut toward me as it shows me a sly, toothy grin while flashing me the face of its sword. My eyes and mouth both open wide for a moment. Then I stutter a few words. Did you just talk to me? The monster stares straight ahead, continuing its rhythmic strides in my direction. I did, young one. It seems this is your first time talking to one of my kind. Frozen in place, I don't know how to process what's going on. I've heard of intelligent monsters, but never anything that can communicate to humans with actual words. The demon is less than 10 m away now. Its voice rings out in my head again. It's a shame you had to come back here. I see a great potential in you, mere mortal. Unfortunately, I'll have to cut the bud before it blooms. Drops of sweat roll down my forehead as the final boss comes closer and closer. It's less than 5 m away now, and I'm finally coming back to my senses. A wave of urgency comes over me as I let out a thin smile. I'd like to see you try. I use Dungeon Walker to teleport behind the demon and release a slash of fire from close range. It's a surprise attack and a powerful one at that. I let out a grunt as the dark red wave of energy rockets toward the demon's exposed back. Time seems to slow down as I watch my flames cut through the air. My attack inches closer and closer, but something doesn't feel quite right. In the next moment, with unfathomable speed and precision, I watch the demon turn its neck to lock eyes with mine, giving me a bone-chilling stare. I watch the hard floor beneath its feet fracture as it propels itself away with both immense power and seamless ease. The deep voice rings in my head again. I applaud you for your efforts, but this is the end. The menacing greater demon turns toward me with a wicked grin. It flies forward, obliterating the rocky floor beneath its feet, hurling stones in wave-like patterns on either side of its body. I grit my teeth and use Dungeon Walker to distance myself from the beast again, over 40 m away. The second I appear, a black swirling mass of energy opens directly beside me. The same overpowering energy destroys the stone floor all around us as a massive black demon's hand comes shooting out of the portal. I hear its voice one last time. Goodbye, it was fun playing with you. Demon's curse. The fast-moving palm slams into my chest. I get flashbacks from my previous time fighting this monster as the breath gets knocked out of me. While letting out a desperate gasp for air, I activate Dungeon Walker and teleport myself as far away as I can without thinking much about where. My HP drops 100, but my MP does too. For some reason, it's easiest for me to transport here of all places, the third mountain in the Griffin's dungeon, overlooking the vast hills and trees below. My head throbs as I keep trying to inhale air through my punctured lungs. While regenerating damaged organs and a few broken ribs, I finally stand to my feet. I open my status to watch my health and MP drop lower and lower as I deactivate all my skills, chugging an HP potion. Last time I was hit with that demon's curse, it did not end well. At all. I gulp. My HP returns to full, but moments later drops 100 points again with my MP bar along with it. Every second, both of them drop roughly 100 points. Why? My MP too? Why is this dash? Then I remember my new passive perk that comes with my special grade self-regeneration skill, Poison and Curse Removal. I stare at my status wide-eyed while taking a few mana crystals out of my storage to plunder their MP. About 10 seconds go by and the rate of decreasing mana and HP slows considerably. They're dropping by just under 50 points each per second. After half a minute of intense breathing, HP potion drinking, and mana crystal plundering, the curse finally dissipates completely. I let out a sigh of relief, then sit down on a rock ledge to think about the events that just took place. This is a highly intelligent monster. Its telepathy ability even allows it to communicate with humans. My base stats are nowhere near strong enough to stand a chance in a battle of brute strength or speed. It outpaced me in an instant even while my all-seeing eye and a superior teleportation skill. This greater demon is in a league of its own. I scrunch my eyebrows and focus on the never-ending sea of trees in front of me. This is not going to be easy. Not one bit. I sit and stare for a while trying to formulate a plan. Then one thing the monster said to me starts to poke at the back of my mind. The moment I entered, it said, "You've returned." It's not often a visitor comes back to see me a second time. That must mean it remembers me. The final boss domain has to act like a normal dungeon floor for that to be the case. It's not like the boss rooms that reset every time a hunter defeats or leaves them. So that's its weakness. A small grin starts to form at the corners of my mouth. Griffins fly high in the sky as my brain starts piecing together the perfect plan. This labyrinth has taught me a lot. Watching my teammates grow, defeating higher-level monsters with their limited abilities is pretty neat to see. Now it's my turn. Sometimes, Being stronger than your opponent is a weakness if you can't guess their next move. It's time for me to put away the checkerboard and start playing chess. I grip my blades and double-check my status to make sure my HP and MP are at full before activating Dungeon Walker and surveying my potential warp points. Moments later, I prepare to throw myself back into battle. I have one objective. With the element of surprise, my plan will go off without a hitch. I teleport in as close as possible to the resting demon. This is the first time I've seen it not in full battle mode. The monster sits on a large flat stone slab at the backside of its lair overlooking the dome-shaped boss room. A meter-tall egg-shaped red object catches my eye as I'm portaling in. The demon seems to be eyeing it, guarding it even. I pay it no mind and stick to the plan. My sword glows red and I pre-charge it to the brim with advanced fire magic. I release my attack at point blank without hesitation. The red-hot flames ripple through the air toward the unsuspecting demon. I assume it will dodge, so I charge up another attack to ready a countermove. As expected, it immediately realizes the danger, but a series of unexpected events unfold. Rather than using its own Dungeon Walker ability, the monster throws its body in front of the red, odd-shaped orb on the ground. I still can't see it clearly from this distance, but the object seems to be of great value to this creature. My fiery slash makes contact with the greater demon, exploding into a crimson ball of flames as it hits the monster's right shoulder. It deflects some of the less intense outer layers of the attack away from any vital points with its long blade, but takes a majority of it at point-blank range. It lets out a muffled grunt mixed with a roar as the fire residue sinks into its thick skin, searing it from the inside out. This is not what I intended to do, but I'll take every chance I can get. The angry voice of the greater demon rings in my head again. Mortal boy, you've come too close to sullying the duty of a labyrinth's guardian. The dark-skinned monster glances at the red item again, then steps toward me with anger filling its eyes. This time, I will not hold back. The ground all around me begins to rumble and fragments of black stone begin floating up into the air. I gulp, then do what I promised myself I would. Use my head. Dungeon Walker. In an instant, I warp away from the rage-filled guardian's lair back to the peaceful mountaintop. Stage 1 of my plan is complete. It didn't go exactly how I wanted it to, but I got it done. The demon has been inflicted with a curse of my own, the ever-burning flames of advanced fire summoning. Soon I'll move to phase 2. The only thing bugging me is the new information that's been revealed. What is that mysterious red orb? Name J. Soju. Level 340. HP 1140/1705. MP 1705/1705. Strength 829 plus 771 plus 150. Speed 983 plus 590 plus 295. Agility 1014 plus 456 plus 150. Defense 735 plus 294 plus 257. Mental strength 829 plus 498 plus 332 plus 373 plus 456. Skills: absorption, special grade, swordsmanship, combat magic, advanced fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, special grade, spatial magic, item storage, plunder, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, berserker, dungeon walker, special grade, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, dual wielding, special grade, items equipped, High Ogre King's ring, plus 60% mental strength, Cyclops eye pendant, plus 40% defense, Dark Elf boots, plus 60% speed, Ring of Protection, plus 35% defense. Griffin's Talon, plus 40% mental strength. Enchanted Silver Ring, plus 30% speed. Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% agility. Plus 45% magic resistance. Desert Troll's Charm, plus 45% mental strength. The Flame Emperor's Sword, Fire Aspect, plus 93% strength. Plus 55% mental strength. Enchanted Dagger Set, 1/2. Plus 150 strength plus 150 agility. Chapter 119. I take a few deep breaths, remembering the pain I felt when I was burned by the mutant boss on floor 16. I've inflicted a similar wound on the Labyrinth's Guardian. To my knowledge, it doesn't have any way of healing. It never would have allowed itself to be hit by my attack, but threw itself in harm's way to protect that egg-shaped orb. While twirling a dagger around in my left hand, I tighten my lips and rack my brain for an answer. I have no idea. It's a puzzling situation. I guess I'll just have to defeat this monster and find out on my own. In the meantime, it'll be a very valuable resource in my battle. If that red rock is something the greater demon is willing to sacrifice itself to protect, then I'll take full advantage of its weakness. My foot begins to tap against the hard rock below me. It's been about 30 seconds, but I need to wait longer to make sure its right arm is fully incapacitated. If I couldn't put out the fire from a skill I own myself, there's no way it'll be able to easily snuff those same flames. These are my hopes, at least. Griffins continue to fly by as my foot tapping becomes faster and louder until I can't take it anymore. It's time. I inhale deeply, preparing myself for the battle ahead. It's time to stay cool and calculated. No wrong moves can be made here. I activate Dungeon Walker and scout out a good place to teleport in. The greater demon is still atop that long stone slab, protecting the red orb. A smirk of satisfaction creeps onto my face as I take in the sight of its mangled right arm. The demon now holds its long sword in its left hand while its right upper limb hangs from the shoulder joint with claw marks all over its flesh. Blood drips to the floor next to large chunks of still-burning demon flesh. The monster's white eyes are sharp and its breathing is heavy. It cut off all of the burning sections of its own body. I've really pissed it off. While finding the perfect positioning, putting the demon between its precious rock and myself, I reappear while releasing an attack at full power without a second of hesitation. The dark crescent of advanced fire magic rockets toward the greater demon, but it seems to be a bit more prepared this time around. Instantly, as my fire approaches, the monster grabs its ruby-colored egg, and Dungeon walks away. Over 100 m away, the Labyrinth's Guardian is running from me now. Ha! You dash! My premature excitement vanishes in an instant as the deep voice of the greater demon rings out in my head. I will make you pay. For even thinking of attacking the true Labyrinth's ruler, you shall pay. The hard stone floor begins to rumble again as I see rock flying through the air and the monster rocketing toward me. It is a terrifying sight, but I can't help but be a little amused by its dangling right arm. I dart off to its unguarded side, making things as difficult as possible for the demon. It swerves mid-charge, and I process all the moving parts in front of me to make a logical decision. Dungeon Walker. I teleport out of its way. Again, there's no point in facing this menace face to face. I materialize 50 m away on the other side of the dungeon. A black spinning portal appears by my side, but I teleport away again before any part of the monster can come out of it. Over and over, we play a game of cat and mouse. I continuously charge my sword with fire and blip all over the boss room trying to position myself for another clear shot. Even with an inferior skill, the greater demon follows me close behind with scary precision. There's a fraction of a second of lag time between its portal and my instant transmissions. I use this to my full advantage. I won't be able to hit it straight on because its base speed and agility are too quick. I'll just have to force its hand yet again. My teleportations become more frequent and seemingly random as I move quickly back and forth to opposite sides of the dungeon. I keep my eyes locked on the shiny red egg-shaped orb while the demon makes sure to always stay between me and its object. The ground shakes and the mana in the air gets denser and denser as the two of us nearly phase out of existence, teleporting around the room at rapid speeds. I hear the monster's deep voice penetrate my mind mid-blip. "You cannot run forever, child." I snarl while teleporting far from the creature again as it emerges from a portal nearby with anger-filled eyes. It's right. I'll have to change things up. I grit my teeth and layer myself with body-hardening crystals while teleporting straight into the danger zone. I aim directly above the ruby-colored egg, igniting myself into a ball of fire. The moment I see the shiny object beneath my feet, I feel a sharp sword pierce my body, hardening right through my torso. Black crystals fracture into the air as I'm face to face with the terrifying monster. It lets go of its sword and forces its palm to my chest. I fly backward from a blast of unknown energy while losing over 1,000 HP within seconds. Demon's Curse. Its familiar voice rings in my head again as the air gets ejected from my lungs. I cough up blood and almost get knocked out cold, but a smirk creeps over my face as I watch dark red flames sink into the greater demon's left hand. The first tick from the demon's curse hits me as I teleport back to my safe space up in the mountains on the 11th floor. I cough out more blood while drinking 2 HP potions and plundering MP from a few mana crystals. Grinning ear to ear, wiping blood from my mouth, I plan out my next moves as the curse slowly wears off. Once at full health, I portal back inside to see a sorry sight. The monster's left arm is still covered in dark red flames. The fire has slowly risen up to its shoulder. The greater demon is attempting to force them out against the flat stone at the backside of the room, but all of its efforts are in vain. These flames of yours, and this ability to teleport, a human could never possess this power. I stare at the creature, cautiously gripping my weapons tight. Its white eyes are filled with fear and confused horror as it continues to put its body between me and the red object behind it. The dark crackling flames seeping into the demon's left shoulder start to creep down its back. The demon grits its jagged teeth as the ground shakes all around us. Stones float into the air as another meaningless game of tag begins. I blip back and forth around the room, watching the slow-burning flames engulf the desperate creature as it swings at me aimlessly. A little over a minute later, the greater demon's entire body is completely ablaze. Rocks are flying in the air as the monster has a full meltdown, destroying its lair. If only I had more time. Is this truly my fate? Every moment I blip back into existence to check on its sorry state. The beast glares at me while letting out hideous sounds. I almost feel sorry for the monster. It flails and cries out in pain, completely destroying its once noble warrior facade. The once fearless towering demon is reduced to a sulking child. My heart pounds in my chest faster and faster as its movements slow and my victory draws closer. I'm about to defeat a labyrinth boss 100 levels higher than my own. The monster stops using Dungeon Walker and falls to its knees as the flesh starts melting from its body. I stop teleporting as well, watching in a mix of awe and horror. Its voice rings out in my head again, this time in a softer tone. "You've beaten me. A human boy has beaten me." It turns to glance at the red egg-shaped object, then back to me. "It seems he will be in your hands now. This labyrinth was never fully born, but maybe there was a reason for all of this." The fire crackles as the monster's chest and face begin to fall apart, exposing white bone. It falls forward to hit the hard stone floor with a loud thud. Level up, 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 level up. Use absorption, special grade. Skill. Telepathy, legendary grade. Yes. No. Use absorption, special grade.
Stat, agility.
Amount. Plus 65. Yes. No. My heart still pounds in my chest as I choose yes to both absorption options. Flames crackle on the dungeon floor as I slowly walk over to the burning, mutilated corpse. With a gulp, my stat-boosting skills slowly deactivate. Breathing heavily, I tiptoe around the monster's body over to the precious ruby egg it sacrificed its life to protect. Well, tried to protect at least. The closer I get, the more questions I have. Clink, clink. I tap it with my sword 2 times. The sound of metal on metal rings out in the empty boss room. It's even more egg-shaped than I realized before. The outer coating has a smooth texture, while the coloring is a deep crimson hue. So odd. I hold my breath and open my item storage. With the tip of my blade, I roll the meter-tall egg-shaped ruby into my inventory. It disappears from sight, and I exhale with relief. Another clanging sound comes from behind me. I turn around in full battle mode, activating my skills, but soon realize it's a false alarm. The oddity of this whole situation is putting me on high alert. I clench my jaw and walk over to the dissolving remains of the greater demon to see 3 item drops in its place. There's a long red horn close to a meter in length, a small black sphere, and a pink mana crystal. I put away my dagger and grab the fallen loot hastily while using appraisal.
Mana crystal.
Greater demon's horn. Greater demon's core. I raise an eyebrow while placing the crystal into my storage, then grab the heavy horn right after. Lastly, the core. I grab it with my left hand and instantly feel it vibrate with an intense pressure. My eyes open wide as I watch the core sink into the palm of my hand and instantly dissolve. A thin black line appears on my wrist and travels along my arm, disappearing up my sleeve to meet my shoulder. My senses heighten. I could hear a pin drop at the far side of the boss room. My eyes twitch back and forth, zooming in and out with newfound long-range perception. I swallow hard and open my status. Status open. Name J Soju. Level 352. HP 1765/1765.
Mepe 1525-1765.
Strength 861 plus 809 plus 431. Speed 1017 plus 610 plus 305 plus 509. Agility 1115 plus 502 plus 558. Defense 762 plus 305 plus 267 plus 381. Mental strength 861 plus 517 plus 344 plus 387 plus 491 plus 431. Skills: absorption, special grade, swordsmanship, combat magic, advanced fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, special grade, spatial magic, item storage, plunder, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, berserker, dungeon walker, special grade, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, dual wielding, special grade, telepathy, legendary grade, items equipped, High Ogre King's Ring, plus 60% mental strength, Cyclops Eye Pendant, plus 40% defense, Dark Elf Boots, plus 60% speed, Ring of Protection, plus 35% defense, Griffin's Talon, plus 40% mental strength, Enchanted Silver Ring, plus 30% speed, Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, Desert Troll's Charm, plus 45% mental strength, the Flame Emperor's Sword, Fire Aspect, plus 94% strength, plus 57% mental strength, Greater Demon's Core plus 50% all stats. Chapter 120. I stare down at my left arm for a moment, taking in the reality of my situation. The demon's core just dissolved into my body. I swallow hard, examining the tattoo-like black line running all the way up my sleeve. The sensation of transfer magic starts to come over my body at the same moment. A white light starts to mask my vision, just like after every boss fight finishes. Not knowing exactly where this next transfer will take me, I activate Dungeon Walker to decide for myself. Away from here, if this is going where I think it is, I don't want to be any part of a labyrinth's collapsed aftermath. After every dungeon break I've been in, all hunters that were stuck inside get transported to the outside world together. That would only add to my pile of problems. I focus on a very familiar dungeon in the capital, the Minotaur Dungeon. The white light around me grows even brighter as I teleport away. Just in time. Fractions of a second later, I've arrived safe and sound. A smile grows across my face as I walk over to the exit portal no more than 20 m away. I exhale abruptly, then stop right in front of the spinning mass of energy before returning to the outside world. Tightening my lips and scrunching my eyebrows, I reactivate Dungeon Walker out of curiosity. It's gone. Scanning through all the dungeon layouts in my mind's eye, not a single one from the labyrinth I just left pops up in my head. It's completely gone. Every single dungeon has vanished into thin air. Deactivating my skills and putting away my sword, I slowly walk outside without another thought. There aren't any hunters in sight. I make my way back to the main hub on the train and exit without seeing anyone but a few night shift guards. The city streets are quiet at night. A soft white moonlight shines alongside the occasional street lamp as I make my way back to the hotel. With a wave to the attendant in the lobby, I get into the elevator and ride it up to the 4th floor. With a turn of my key, I enter the room and fall into bed almost immediately. I'm exhausted, but a million thoughts are still running wild through my head. It feels incredible to lie down and rest my sore muscles, but the looming fear of my meeting with Rodrigo and the Hunters Association hire UPS is fresh in my mind. After seemingly endless tossing and turning, I finally fall asleep for a few hours. Unfortunately, it doesn't last long. As the sun rises through my hotel window, so do I. Letting out a groan, I stretch my arms, legs, and back before rolling out of bed. My work is never over. I've decided to see Brianna. It never hurts to see your friendly neighborhood black market craftswoman before a lunch meeting with the government. Right? I have a lot of new gear and items. There's no one who'd be better at appraising their value than her. I may even get a chance to fuse that new Firestone with something. I let out a sigh, shrug, and walk out the door. I'll just have to head over and see what she can offer. After drinking some of the leftover water in my inventory and grabbing a breakfast sandwich from a local shop, I make my way toward the 3-story building where Brianna stays. There are 2 large men standing out front. One of them seems to recognize me from a distance. I wave as he looks at his friend to mumble a few words, then turns to me with a smirk. I recognize you, kid. What do you want with Ms. Brianna? She's busy right now. I raise an eyebrow. Busy? When will she be free? The muscular bodyguard crosses his arms. A few more hours. She has a special guest visiting this morning. Come back around noon. I stare at the 2 of them with an annoyed look while biting my bottom lip, then let out a reply. Well, can I at least see Bernard? The bodyguard rolls his eyes but nods slowly. Sure. I heard you were a pretty high-paying customer last time you were here, so what is it this time? More business. I nod. He turns and opens the door for me and I walk inside. The bottom-floor sweatshop isn't as jarring as it was the first time around but is still quite out of the ordinary. There are so many workers crammed into a small space with all kinds of magical items laying out on the tables. The workers packaging and tinkering with the potions and trinkets barely bat an eye as I walk past them and begin climbing the spiral staircase. My footsteps echo slightly as I make my way up to the 2nd floor. The moment I do, a tall, thin man greets me with a weak smile. The 2 twin girls on either side of his office keep their heads down as he walks over to me. Jay, what a surprise it is to see you here today of all days. I open my mouth to speak, but he cuts me off. Ms. Brianna can't see you right now. She's with a client. I nod. Yeah. I know, one of the guards downstairs already told me. I took my C-class exams this past weekend, so I have all kinds of items I'd like to have properly appraised. Bernard raises an eyebrow and shows me to his desk. I have a good eye for these kinds of things too, you know. Let's see what you have. Do you have one of those containment cases? For element stones. His eyes open wide. You managed to get another one? I smile, realizing this may be my chance. Bree can't pass up an element stone waiting to be crafted, right? I reply, yeah, I have a lot of other loot with me as well. But the element stone and this here dash. I pull out the dark red demon's horn and set it down on his desk with a thud. I was hoping Bree could make me some kind of dagger with this and the firestone I picked up. Bernard turns to the smooth, meter-long red horn on his desk. His eyes remain glued to it as he feels its surface with both hands. This is... He stutters while keeping his eyes fixated on the horn. You fought a Labyrinth's guardian and beat it? As a new C-class hunter, how is that possible? The thin man in glasses turns to me wide-eyed with his eyebrows scrunched tightly together. I reply, it was my lucky day. Long story. Isn't your guy's motto here something like, no questions, just pay the lady and leave? Bernard gulps, stands up straight, then lets out a sigh followed by a subtle bow. You're right. How unprofessional of me. This is an incredible find. He glances upstairs, then back to me, continuing his statement. I don't think Ms. Brianna will mind a quick disturbance if this is what you have to show her. I grin. He nods, then points to the stairs. Very well, just be polite. There's a VIP up there, one wrong move and you're a dead man. I mean it. I nod while grabbing the demon's horn, placing it in my inventory, and making my way toward the twisting stairs. I didn't even show him the firestone. Better yet, he doesn't even know about the odd red egg-shaped rock. Maybe I should keep that a secret from everyone for now. I ready myself to meet with Bree and this mysterious VIP client, then begin climbing the stairs. Halfway up, I hear a man's voice. I did everything I could, Bree. After almost 3 full days of farming, 2 windstones may not sound like much, but it's nothing to laugh at. That's good money, even after I pay the team. Plus, look at all this other loot we got from the raid. Bree's voice responds after an audible sigh. Brother dearest, one of my clients up north is relying on me to provide them with a firestone-imbued blade by the end of the week. You assured me it would be possible to obtain one. The man grunts and the sound of feet getting kicked up onto a table echo down the stairs. I'm already more than halfway up. The two of them seem to be in a pretty heated business deal, but did I hear Bree just say, brother? The man's low and oddly familiar voice continues. I was certain I could get you one. There were just a few complications last night. Someone snuck into the final boss room and took out the Guardian before my team, and I had a chance to farm the top floors. He lets out a sigh, slamming his arm against something hard. The only reason I ever agreed to come out to this region was to get my hands on another core. That's gone too. This whole trip has just been a damn waste of time. I near the top of the stairs as the man's voice gets louder and angrier. Plus, I have this stupid meeting with this multi-skill brat later today. The association's probably going to turn him into their personal lab rat, but it's better him than me. I can't wait to get it over with and go home. This plaque dash. Mid-tantrum. I step up the final stair and can't believe my eyes. Bree stands at the back of the room with her hands on her hips, wearing a tight black dress with much of her olive skin exposed. She looks half worried and half amused at the situation in front of her. I stare at the man by her side with my mouth wide open. Surprisingly, he does the same. The tall man with tan skin, black hair, white eyes, and a bright red suit looks deep into my soul as I enter the room. I gulp, then stutter out a few words. Rodrigo, is that you?